Hello out there, welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Graydon95.
And I am your third host, the host host with the most, this guy. And we're missing our second host, Ghost. The second host is a ghost.
He is a ghost today.
Yes, he ghosted, but
he was wasn't feeling up to it today, so he will not be joining us, but...
fix death saving throws.
Yes, so today...
I wasn't aware there was a problem with death saving throws.
Well, so, today we're going to be talking about death, and a little bit more, with, like, injury and stuff as well in our second video. But, as it's well known in 5e, right? Death is really hard to, like, get to.
Yeah.
Death is, like, really, really difficult to get to. And
yeah, you just gotta get real unlucky, really.
Yeah, and, like, I think death saving throws are fine on their own, but I think death as a whole, like, the whole going down, getting up thing, you know, the being fighting fit if you get 1 HP, you know?
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before a little bit here and there, but, I found a couple of videos, one that I found a while back, and one that I found today, which we'll be covering first, and it's, Fix Death Saving Throws, 7 Homebrew Death Rules, D&D 5e, brought to us by, the Dungeon
Newman.
Coach.
Yes.
Yeah, and, I'm interested
All right, the Dungeon
to see...
Coach, don't be a bastard, please.
I'm interested to see how he homebrews it, because I know I homebrew it a little bit with Resurrection, right? But I don't really... I haven't gone into, like, creating penalties, I guess, with going down and stuff, like... And we went over a little bit of how Pathfinder does it, and how that's way more interesting in the sense of having the wounded condition as well as the dying condition, and how it doesn't necessarily make you safe when you get back up. But yeah.
Which is a great system.
It is quite honestly pretty cool. So, also, apologies if you hear me eating at all, because I haven't eaten today and I just got food. So, but let us begin.
Oh, shit.
Ooh.
Okay, hang on. Go ahead and play the video.
Okay.
How to kill your players in D&D 5th edition. Coming up.
I can change the volume!
No,
Hey,
no way.
good.
My homebrew method for fixing death in D&D 5th edition. Okay, go.
You know how I homebrew death and how I fix
Welcome
death?
to the Dungeon
I don't
Coach.
let you
I'm
die.
The Dungeon Coach. I'm going to help you lower that DC and raise the threat of death in your game. But before we get into this gritty topic, I want to show you something on
That's
this
a lot of
channel.
5th edition
YouTube
books.
shows
Hey,
me
he's got 4th edition!
the people who watch my video.
The ones on the,
Oh, yeah.
the ones on the bottom left.
Yeah.
I see those monster manuals.
So that means if y'all did, we'd instantly over double the size of this channel. And we're already so close to that first goal of mine for 1,000
You have
subscribers.
analytics, I understand.
That happened way faster than I thought it would.
I appreciate
it's only a
the
couple
hustle.
clicks away, and I really would appreciate it. But only do it if you feel like you get value from these videos. So today we're going to be going over the homebrew mechanics I have for death and death saving throws. These rules take off those training wheels to the current system where death really isn't even a thing. I'm going to be giving you guys multiple options to choose from, but you got to stick around to the end of the video because I saved the best for last. It's a system I've been working on for months now, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. I've combined all the homebrew systems I've been using over the years with Pathfinder's 2E system into one perfect solution. And
It's perfect.
And and I will say,
perfect.
just so people know, this came out in February of 2020.
Okay.
So
It was before we were tainted with the corona.
well, no, it was just as we were getting there. But also, it's a newer video, so
yes,
potentially he might have some updates to it at some point. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
at the end, announcing a new giveaway. So here's that list.
Oh,
now let's get
giveaways,
into
dude.
it. Fixing death in Dungeons and Dragons was the first homebrew I ever did. Because right off the bat for me, death felt very underwhelming and felt more like whack-a-mole than anything else. The problem
Agreed, but also, my dude, you either gotta bring your mic, like, up closer
Yeah.
to you, or, like, I can barely hear you, and my thing's
boost
all the
that
way
gain.
up. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, not the best.
Not the best,
what he needs is a lapel mic.
That would help. Yeah,
that's all he really needs is a lapel mic.
But anyway,
the problem is when players go unconscious and start making death saves. That should be a scary moment. But once they receive even 1 point of healing, they pop up just fine, no problem at all. This is crazy to me. That character almost died. But since the mechanics of the game don't make it feel real, it doesn't get that point across. There's almost zero worry whatsoever when a player falls unconscious. Don't worry, Steve will get him up on his turn. Who's Steve? In fact, with the rules as they are, healing's actually far more efficient if you wait for them to go unconscious, then heal them back, and then...
Yeah,
yep.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. See, now I can understand, I could understand and accept one argument, and really, at least off the top of my head, only really one argument in favor of the whole magic getting you up in your fighting fit.
Okay.
And that it's just magic. And that's not really an argument. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. That's just an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you get 1 point HP, but I only have 1 point HP, but it's magic, though.
Yeah,
you know?
It always comes back to how much realism do you want in your game, I guess. Because, like, I don't know, for myself, and of course this is up to whoever's, playing, running the thing, but for myself, like, when I see a character go down to 1 HP, that means something to me of, like, oh, they're gonna die.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, because if you're at 1 HP in real life, you're fucking like bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah, like the real world like equivalency is so it's just you would oh my god you would need that magical cure to even come back, right? Like, well, not necessarily, but
Yeah, that's why I like the HP systems in other games. I feel like D&D always has had these bloated numbers, which, to be fair, D&D has always had that.
Yeah.
And it's a part of what makes D&D D&D. Because, you're magical heroes. You got fucking, like, metal armor and magic weapons and spells, and you're fighting dragons and ogres and shit. So you have to be kind of larger than life. Especially in stuff like Pathfinder, where they've brought back the huge numbers from, like, 4th edition.
That's true, yep.
Where in 4th edition, for example, Demogorgon in 5e has, like, 600 health. Yep. In 4th edition, he's got, like, 1,600.
That's too much, dude.
Yeah, but but the players have, like, 200. Yeah. So everybody has these huge numbers. So it's just a consequence of how D&D has always been made and the kind of theme that they're going for with D&D, and why it starts to fall flat when you kind of want a bit more realism. Whereas games like Cyberpunk and Call of Cthulhu and even Traveler have these really, really, really low HP values, and armor is significantly more effective at stopping damage flat.
Yeah, you have damage reduction via armor instead of
evasion, it's just damage reduction.
Yes.
Yep. Which is really good, because in, say, like Call of Cthulhu, there's body armor there was body armor back in the 20s, and I think an example that people would give is and by an example, I mean, like, they would actually demonstrate it out on the street.
Oh, yeah.
They would have, like, these signs near them. They'd be on the sidewalk. And, of course, 1920s America, it was dangerous as all shit.
Yeah.
And there would be a guy wearing a plate of iron over his chest. It's just held in place by, like a cord or something. The same way you would put on, like, a cape, but reversed.
Okay, yeah.
You've got this iron plate underneath your clothes, and the other guy just shoots him in the chest. It's like, look, this body armor is really good. Check this shit out. Bang!
Right.
It's like, you want to buy it now? And, like,
I mean, no.
So but yeah, right? Like, that's... it was really dangerous because it could very easily ricochet and hit somebody and yourself. And But, I mean, it was an effective way of stopping a bullet. It's just put a fucking harder piece of metal in front of it. It's like, well...
And, like, there's plenty of examples in just medieval armors being what they were for. You were supposed to stop from being stabbed, right? Like, Game of Thrones did it very well in a scene where Arya and the Hound are together, and he's like, hey, try to stab me. And she goes, yeah, okay, because I hate you. And she just stabs into the armor, and it stops it before it can reach anything. And it's just like, yeah, back when they actually cared about that.
Yeah.
But that was a thing. And, like, I feel like it wouldn't be too hard to homebrew that, you know?
Yeah. The thing is, you would have to almost completely rework the entire armor system.
It is true. It is true. You wouldn't. I mean, you would have an armor class, but that would be when you actually take damage, or even. It would be weird because
here's what it would be. It would be an armor class to dictate how often you get hit, and an armor rating dependent to demonstrate how much damage is deducted.
Yes, and then like
that's how it would have to be.
So much of the damage roll will be negated, or if it'll be completely negated, depending on how low the roll is. No, it would be an interesting.
It would actually be pretty easy. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too difficult to do. You just assign basically like a 7 to like plate mail, right? And then like it would be something you'd have to test a little bit, but it would be one of those things where it doesn't seem like too big of an issue to try to do.
Now here's the problem though. You would have to start to factor in what things get past armor, how much stuff ignores armor, like for example bludgeoning weapons, because they are designed to not give a fuck about armor.
Yeah, very true. They're meant to literally cave it in and
and still do the damage, and then now your armor's fucked. And it's like every time that would actually be super interesting.
It would be it's way more realistic, right?
Yeah, it'd be really hard to run, but man, it'd be super cool.
It would be interesting to try.
Because it'd be like, oh man, you got hit with a bludgeoning weapon and your armor's like a little bit caved in a spot, and now people know to aim for it for the time being until you get that repaired. Your armor's gonna like not take as much. It's not gonna be able to take as much punishment. And against like an intelligent being, you'll like take a -2 on your armor rating.
Right, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fucking Jesus Christ. That'd be so much bookkeeping on everybody's part.
Oh god, yeah. It would be a much more complicated game, definitely.
Yeah, and so I can understand, just diving into it just a little bit, I can understand why they chose not to do it.
Right, yeah.
But
true. It's definitely again, it's more for the ones who want more realism, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that is something you can do, and it does sound very fun.
It does sound interesting, and hopefully it wouldn't get too old or just too like hard to keep track of,
Yeah, you'd have to basically make your own sheets.
Yeah, true.
Like to specifically track armor and armor damage and armor health and stuff.
Yeah, like excuse me. They used to have actual HP for weapons and armor and stuff in 3.5, I remember. So like you could sunder weapons and armor and stuff. You had to beat the hardness DC with your attack roll, and then you would do damage to the weapon. But if you did it with like a bludgeoning weapon, it would do more than you did it with like a piercing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, thered be a cool thing to do. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about death.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion.
death.
And then you can just go ring unconscious and then heal them again. But if your character is walking the line between life and death, it should feel like that. Not only with the in-game mechanics, but the energy around the table. So I need my players to feel two things: that death is scary and resurrection is uncertain. This video focuses more on the death side of things, but I have entire homebrew systems on resurrection and different ways that I handle it that I want to do in another video that I'll link right here once I make it. None of my videos have done it yet, but if this video gets 200 likes, I'll make that video. Time out before we get into
How about you just make the video?
Yeah, I mean,
just make the video.
I understand like the hustle for likes is so that you get in the algorithm better, right?
Yeah, but how about you just make the video?
If you make the video and people like it, then they'll like it, right?
Yeah, come on.
I mean, like goals have always been that weird thing to me, but
yeah,
that's just,
is this topic, and it should definitely be discussed in your session 0, along with any other homebrews that you want to do anyway. In my games, I like to have...
Yes, we know.
No, it's good. Not enough people fucking say that.
What? Wait, what did I miss? What did he say? I misheard him.
He said that you
bring
should
up homebrew in session 0.
Yeah. You should discuss it all in your session 0. Very good.
Oh, yeah, that should be. I feel like that should be like without even.
I would.
That
hope
goes
so.
without saying.
See, that's the thing. I would hope so, but we've covered enough.
It's true. It's true.
Anyway.
Death on the table, you can feel the threat of it. Because the fact that you could lose your character is part of what makes having one so special. I feel like this was a missing piece in some of my earlier campaigns. And in the session I'm running right now, one of the most memorable moments was when they lost their druid ally. Or the 2 close calls they had where a player died and they had to revive them. Because if you do it right, death can be a beautiful part of a story. Okay, so let's kill some players. Number 1, fixed death saving throws. When I say fixed in this case, I'm meaning fixed as in not moving. So like normal, whenever a character falls unconscious, they start making death saving throws. And they bubble in all their successes and failures. Also like normal, when they come back to consciousness, their death saving throw successes reset back to nothing. But with this, their death saving throw failures do not reset. So any death saving throw failures they accumulated while being unconscious stay with them even when they come back up. Now,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that was how it is.
Is that, was that, I have my
PHP right here. Let me look at death saving throws.
Yeah.
Because I could have sworn that's something that I've seen at least used before with other people. But let's see. Where are you? This is not the right page. This is the right page. So, whenever you start your turn with 0 hit points, you must make a special saving throw called a death saving throw to determine whether you creep closer to death or hang on to life. Blah, 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 blah. No, the number of both is reset to 0 when you regain any hit points or become stable.
Oh, interesting. Okay, then.
Okay.
So, yeah. So,
never mind.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think, because that does make sense to me, but I'm trying to think of it as if I were running a game where that is a thing.
Right. So little Timmy goes down. Right.
Yeah, little Timmy goes down.
He's on the ground. He loses 2 of his saving throws.
Yeah.
If he gets back up because of healing or stabilization or whatever, he has those death saving throws until I don't know if he said until a long rest or something.
Yeah, he hasn't said when they restore yet.
Oh, let's see if he does say that then. Real quick.
Yes, they're standing up like normal, but they almost just died. And if they go unconscious again, they'll be even closer to it. Now, as a DM, you have a couple options here on when this resets. When I first started DMing, I was super nice, and these death saving throw failures reset once combat was lifted. But what I do now is on a short rest, you can lose one of them, and on a long rest, they reset back to nothing. You could even give your player...
Okay.
Okay. Oh, and then you can even, what?
Some homebrew magic that fixes those as well.
Oh, okay. Homebrew magic, maybe. Okay, sure. So I like the idea of it resetting them via resting.
Yes.
I feel like that's good.
That's what it needs to be.
Yeah. Because right after the combat it's like, I'm fine. Right, that doesn't feel
I think okay. I feel like if you go let's say little Timmy goes down.
Okay.
He fails 1 death save and gets back up. And then he's still got 1 left over. I feel like if when the combat is over and he's sitting at really low HP, if you use a really powerful healing spell on them, I feel like that should be able to remove them as well.
Yeah,
I mean like a powerful one. I don't mean like healing word where it's like 1d4.
No,
I mean like if you heal like spell. Yeah, if you heal like 15 or more. Something like that. I think that ought to be able to remove, or like maybe a percentage of their health. Because
I was actually going to say, if you give them back at least like a fourth to a half, you give them another their save back.
Yeah, because the only reason why I say that is because I feel like, again, I don't know why I always lean towards the players being in the situation where they're in a dungeon and they might not have access to resting at the moment. It would be very unfortunate if they fought the first fight, shitty rolls happen, goes down, and then fucks up 2 death saves, and then they can't get them without leaving the whole dungeon, but their time is of the essence, and they can't leave. So maybe like pour like 3 potions down their gullet, and then maybe that'll get rid of one of the failed death saves. I think one additional way to get them back would be nice.
I think I agree with you honestly, because like you said, if you're in that dungeon and you just get shit luck, Like, that'll feel awful.
Yeah, that'll feel real bad.
But I would say to be I found a tweet today that instead of calling it the Devil's Advocate, you're calling it the Devil's Hype Man. Or sorry, Satan's Hype Man.
Hell yeah.
because like, why would you come on.
But anyway, it's great.
And I also said that I'm going to start calling Aiden that every time.
Yes.
But
yes.
To be Satan's,
he says Devil's Advocate, he's Satan's Hype Man.
Right. To be Satan's Hype Man for a second.
Yes.
I would also say that the realism of that is felt more so when you don't have that ability to get that additional thing, because like it's not like it's not okay to get out of the dungeon, right?
Yeah,
and like
it's not
go
that
back
that's a
again.
problem. Yeah. It just depends on the context of the situation.
It is true. Obviously, if it works better for your table to have that, that would be fine. I'm just saying, like, for those who might want it to be a little more realistic, keeping it that way would be would add to that realism of, oh god, we just went through a lot of shit. We need to go back to the town
and rest.
And go to sleep, man. I feel, oh god, I just need to take a couple of days, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a problem with it as it is. I'm just
you're giving it another option, another thing.
Planning for the best, preparing for the worst.
Sure, yeah, fair enough.
Because I know that when I'm a DM, I usually, because it's honestly something that I think all of us do when we try to make our worlds. We have them living and breathing, and we have things moving as even when we're doing our own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I've even stated in the campaign that we're currently playing, like, if I give you a lead on the main shit that you're doing, and you can go fuck off and do whatever you want, but if you do, the trail's going to go cold.
And it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because that would happen. So I'm fine with both, honestly. Yeah. It just depends on the situation, really.
Yeah.
That's
Number 2, automatic death save fails. Rules as written: if an unconscious player takes any source of damage, they fail a death save. Fall off a cliff? Fail. Body lying in poison? Fail. Blade of grass hits you the wrong way? Fail. Or you get caught in the radius of a massive fireball? Fail. But melee attacks work different. If you get attacked in melee range, that's 2 automatic failures. So for some reason, a small goblin stabbing you with a dagger is the exact same amount of fails as an ogre smashing you with a club, and both of those are worse than getting caught up in a fireball? This has always felt bad to me, so here's my solution, and it both helps or hurts players. If you get hit by anything while you're unconscious, yes, that's going to be an automatic failure. But you still roll for damage to see the scale of how big this hit was. So I have what I call a threshold at 25 points of damage. Anything from 1 point to 25 points of damage is 1 automatic failure. Anything from 26 up to 50 damage is 2 automatic failures.
That's a lot of damage.
Anything above 50 is 3 failures.
Yeah, so
that's a huge threshold. I mean, I'm not complaining.
I am, though, because if I'm level 1, right, and I go down and then I take 25 points of damage, I'm just auto-dead. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right, like,
there's no character in the game that has that much health at level 1.
At level 1, no. It's not Pathfinder, Pathfinder lets you get to that point, but, like, fucking... I don't know, because it feels like that's the weird thing with the points that equal your health in damage as well. If you were to try to do something like this, then it's like, well, you have to account for that. So instead of this, I would say a third of your max HP, and then
that's what I was gonna say,
right? And then you have something that actually works for each character. But at the same time, I don't know, man. It's like, if I get hit and I take all that damage, I feel like I'm already dying. I feel like I'm just gonna die again. I don't know. It's weird. Because, like, and I agree that it feels weird that a goblin who does a stab on you is the same as an orc that does a big swing. Like, that's gonna be a little weirder, different, but I can justify that. because the goblin is going for easier to get like tendons or like jugular vein, like actual.
They know how to do the kill.
Yeah, they know how to do the kill, and they want to kill you, so they're going to do it effectively in that range. And especially when you can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
And then the giant orc is using his great sword to smash your entire body, and he's going to hit a couple of things, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, you can justify that a little bit easier, I would say. So
because, I mean, you could always have it be, like... I'm assuming his argument is that the ogre smashing with a great club should just instant kill you when you're down.
It does more, at least.
Yeah. But, I mean, you could really easily just be... You could do it with both sides. Mm-hmm. One, the goblin wants to kill you quickly. He stabs you in the neck. Yeah, take 2 death saves.
Right.
Or the ogre, who's really big and dumb, but also really wants to just hurt you bad, just like slams you in the chest.
Sure.
Your armor takes enough of it to where your chest doesn't cave in, but you can feel that even in your unconscious state, take 2 death saves,
Right. Or even so, like any sort of framing of the narrative, you go like, oh, the ogre comes up and just beats you into the ground a few times. Right? Like, you can set it up so that it makes sense. It's whether or not you're thinking about it at the moment, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so, but again, for his example, I would say percentage of, like, a third
of your health.
Yeah, a third of your health, 2/3, 3. And then you die, maybe. So.
Yeah. That seems, like, the 33.3% of your health seems interesting to me, because what would it be like if say you go down and you let's see you go down, you have 33 max HP. Let's just make this easy.
Right.
You have 33 max HP and you go down, and then you make a success, and then I don't know, a rogue throws a rock at your face.
Okay.
And it only does 1 damage.
Right.
Would it...
I see what you mean.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying now? So technically your success counts for 11 of your 33 HP. You've only taken 1 damage.
Right, but that would be in this
But that
scenario.
would equal a fail.
Right.
So what would it be like if your saves had HP or something?
Just something to counterbalance it a bit?
Yeah. So again, same example, 33 HP. You go down, you make that save. Now you have 11.
Okay.
And someone comes along and stabs you for 11.
Right.
And now you're just down to 0.
Right.
I don't know.
It'd be this weird kind of balancing act of saves and deaths, like, or successes and failures, right? Because
you would really have to gang the fuck up on dead people.
Right. That would make it extremely hard to kill someone even more when they're down already, right?
Yeah, that would be weird. I don't think that could work. I think about it.
It's one of those failings of the HP system, I would say.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But it's just how it works, and I don't think it needs to be changed, so I think it's fine. Because usually, unless the creature has a death wish for you, that they will, after you go down, they will not focus you, right?
Yeah.
Or they are using you as a bargaining chip. I've seen it before where a dragon took a character in their mouth, who was at 0, and was like, "Hey, well, he's like, hey, I'm nearly dead, and if you come after me, he dies." Right? They have huge gobs, dude. They're fine.
I know.
But and then he bit the player, and the player was down to 2 death saves because critical, melee attack, right? And so he was just down to 1, and it was one of those representations of the system that worked well for the narrative as well, because everyone was like, oh fuck, a dragon has, like, in character, oh fuck, the dragon has him in his mouth, he can't do anything, and he's unconscious at least, or just dying.
Or
We can't go after this dragon. And out of character, they're also going, he's on 2 death failures. If he gets another, he's dead entirely. We don't want that either, right? Like, so it kind of...
That's when you hit him with Healing Word, the guy wakes up, jumps down his throat, and stabs him in the heart.
Right, exactly. But at the moment, that wasn't the case. But
yeah,
still, it's one of those things where using it as is still pretty useful.
Yeah.
And can be applied well.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of the damage thresholds. I do.
Yeah.
It's just, I think
these
the
need
minimum,
to be way smaller.
I think the minimum, though, should be like 10. Or like
as much as I love these, because right. I'm like, oh man, basically no matter what, it's gonna be like 1 for a long time.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, because like, so I guess it would be if it's not within 33%, but within I guess
20?
more. Yeah, it's
20.
You know what I mean? Instead of it being the first part of that percentage, it's the latter part.
Yeah.
So if you have your 11 from your 33 health character, it's like over 5 or maybe like 4, right? And then they take the death save. But even so, that means that the cat can't kill you.
Damn.
But no, but it's like...
Well, I mean, okay, you could have the cat circle around and bite him in the dick for like 20 damage.
It's true. But you understand what I mean? Like, a low-level monster that does like 1 damage a turn that is deadly should still be able to kill you.
Well, then you could have it be like if there's more than 1 where it's enough damage in a round or in a certain period of time. You can have that.
Maybe.
So that way, if you get swarmed with cats,
if you,
then the wizard's just dead, no contest.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It would take some thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And your character's dead because they took a massive blow while absolutely helpless and unconscious. A tiny goblin critically stabbing you for 14 would be 1 failure. A huge ogre smashing you over the head for 28 damage would be 2 failures. And getting caught up in some sort of spell or falling from a long distance, 51 damage, 3 failures. Back when I first came up with this, I had a talk with my players about putting this into the campaign. They were level 12, and the health threshold of 25 and 50 felt about right. But for lower level players, it might make sense to have a lower threshold of 30 and 20. So find that level of danger that you like and talk with your players. With those...
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I guess, to counter the points that I've been bringing up, it depends on how much realism you want, right? Like,
yeah.
You could have this and just not worry about it. Like, I've been with, like, 1 damage means 1, and go, it's not realistic, but, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, you can easily just do that.
Yep.
And then it just depends on how you word it, really.
Yep, exactly.
To kill your players, so let's help them out a little bit. Number 3, helping death saving throws. There's 2 ways that I've handled this. If one of the party members falls unconscious, any of the remaining players can take the help action to help that player, giving them advantage on their death saving throw. Now, your players have to be creative with this and describe a way that actually makes sense. Yes, it could be a medicine check, but there's so much more to that. Depending on how you describe them going unconscious, a player can make a strength check to put pressure on the wound, a dexterity check to carefully remove fragments, a spell check to call out to the player's spirit, a persuasion check screaming out into the void for them to return. There's been some really cool and emotionally impactful moments from these players rushing to help each other. Now, what I used to do is have that conscious player that wanted to help make a skill check of some kind. It always felt super bad when they failed. If your players care that much about each other and spend an entire action to help them, I think it should just happen. And the advantage you grant them anyway isn't a guarantee. This is also where my homebrew rule on advantage stacking comes in. Link right here to that video. With all these mechanics combined, I've had it to where one of my clerics was 1 death saving throw away from dying. On that round of combat, the other 3 players rushed over to help her and each described a cool way that they were helping. They were in the middle of a really big fight and they needed her. So with my advantage stacking rule in place, this granted her advantage plus 5.
What the fuck?
She rolled and
sure.
Okay, that's a little much, but
no, advantage is already enough, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't. Jesus Christ.
I don't know about that, but also like, so
instead of advantage plus whatever, give advantage 1 and then make it like a plus whatever.
I don't even know if you need any additional stuff. I really don't. It's just so. I
mean, I'm just saying that since he has that role with advantage stacking, I would nerf the fuck out of that. Where if you have again, let's say you have 4 people helping, one person helping gives advantage, and then everybody after the first one just gives a +1 to your roll.
Right? Yeah,
that's it.
That would make more sense. But
anyway,
so the only issue that I like, the gut reaction to this of like helping with death saving throws. Is like, unless you are a trained professional in the body, like, how do you know they are that close to death? They might just be unconscious, and like it might be minimal blood loss, right? Like you don't, you could eyeball it as much as possible, but there's armor in the way, right? Like some if, and I'll just give the example of if somebody's wearing plate mail collects liquid, you know, like it can collect it enough. And so if you have them bleeding out, you might not even be able to see all of the blood. So it might look less serious than it is.
Yeah, it's not like anime where someone gets hit and they have blood splatter coming out of every gap in their armor.
Right.
Like, oh shit.
Right.
It's not like Shield Hero.
No. So that plus like it feels weird to make it so that other people like help you stop dying other than the ways that they can do it already, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I like his examples though, where it's like, you pull shit out, you put pressure on it, or it's like, oh, come back to us. You know, that's kind of funny. I don't know if I would have that help, but I think that's kind of funny.
Well, so like I could rationalize it as being part of your medicine check, right? Like legitimately, if the big barbarian who doesn't know shit about medicine but definitely knows that if you put pressure on the blood, like on the wound, it'll stop it. Yeah, that's his medicine check. He goes and he's starting now to just push on the thing until it stops bleeding, right?
Then
like
you make a strength check, you crit, you break their arm, and they die.
Well, you don't even make the check. It's just a part of it, right? So so but like that just feels like flavor that you can add to the medicine check in order to do it. With the persuasion,
that's the come back to us,
right?
Calling
like
out to his spirit.
Like, yes,
he's unconscious. He's not dead yet. His spirit hasn't left yet.
Right? Yeah. Once his spirit is gone, then he's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Secondly, the I don't know. I understand that the resurrection spell and all of that is like, yeah, if they want to come back, they'll come back, right? Because that's up to them, right? But going and making it so that you just yell at them to come back and they do, that's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know about
that. Now what I don't know why this came to me. I think it was because like once you said their spirit is gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Now I want to see somebody run a campaign where everybody starts off as like whatever they want. It's like, okay, I'm playing as a human, an elf, dwarf, halfling, whatever.
Okay.
You go in and you fight a dude, and everybody dies.
Okay.
And then everybody like it's like, oh, you guys all fall before the enemies, and then you close your eyes and everything is black, and then all of a sudden you open your eyes and you're a ghost now. Ghost campaign.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That'd be fucking weird.
Yeah, you're stuck in limbo because I don't know.
No, not limbo.
Right, it's not. It's the ethereal plane. Yes.
No, you're still on the material plane. You're just a ghost.
Well, yes. Okay.
It'd be fucking weird because, like, you can't, and you'd be fighting. Like, I don't know. Would you be good ghosts? I'm just imagining like Casper style shit.
Right.
You know, where you're floating around, you have your upper body and then like the little wispy shit for your legs.
I don't know. Yeah,
hijinks ensue.
That's the whole thing for that. At least I would go like that's why the ethereal plane exists, right?
Yeah, true.
It is the material plane, but more because of all the ethereal stuff. And then you.
Oh. When you said ethereal plane, I thought you meant like heaven.
Oh no, that's Celestia.
Yeah, that's Celestia. That's my bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so then you have that because then there's a shit ton of things on the ethereal plane that no one knows about. Because it's the ethereal plane, and who cares about that?
Yeah. God, that'd be such a weird campaign.
It would be very strange, yeah. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about helping with death saves. Because even
you would have to have a certain level of medicine. And I think I wouldn't do advantage, I would just do a plus to your roll.
Right, and even so, like the already with just raw. The using the medicine and getting a 10, you already stabilize them, right?
Yeah.
And I understand this is taking that out of the equation. But doing medicine and maybe removing a death saving throw, I would be okay with, right?
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Instead of
just getting them up.
Or like not removing, but like giving them a success, right? If you get it high enough. So that you're at least you're trying and you're doing your very best to help them get back to being stable.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just not an auto success. It's just a progression, kind of.
Yeah.
And obviously, like with death saving throws, when you get successes, it's like your body is just closing its wounds, kind of.
Yeah. Right.
Or whatever. Like whatever's happening, like it's fine.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of a thing, and you're going to hate this, I know.
Okay.
That's a thing in 4th edition as well.
Oh, God.
Where there are lots of... And one of the things, it's actually, now that I think about it, it's actually one of the things that 4th edition kind of has over 5th edition in terms of realism. Where in 5th edition, I've looked in that monster manual, all of them, quite a lot. I don't remember seeing many monsters with diseases. Do any monsters inflict diseases? And, like, named diseases. I don't mean, like, you have the diseased condition.
No, they never really talk about it. That's more of a, like... That's never really a thing they've gone into for 5th ed, for some reason, at all.
That was a thing that they had day 1 in 4th edition, was specific diseases. And it was, like, mummy rot, filth fever, some of the classic ones, you know. But they had more. And one of the things that it did was if you get inflicted with this disease, and depending on like the CR of the monster or whatever, like say you get bit by a rat, you can get filth fever from that, and it's really easy to cure. But if you got bit by an otiug and you got filth fever, harder to deal with.
Right, makes sense.
It's like a stronger strain of whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing was, you had 3 stages of the diseases, or I guess it was. Yeah, no, you had 3. And then there was the 4th one was cured, basically. So you have no disease. And then the first level of disease, you make a blank saving throw or you progress to this stage. And then it has an effect, and like, you know, it has like you like grow pustules and they're like leaking pus and shit's nasty. And then next time you make that saving throw, if you fail it again, you progress to the second one, where now you're fucking like coughing up blood. It's real bad.
Right.
And then if you fail it again, you go to the 3rd phase, and then, you know, that's just kind of where it stops.
Yeah.
Depending on the disease. If it's a disease that can kill you, it kills you here. But you had this thing where you had to make saving throws constantly, like every time that you could, in order to either like reduce the effects of the disease or it progresses.
Sure. Yeah.
So it wasn't this thing where 3 successes, no matter where you get them, cure it. You had to make up to 3 successes in a row. So if you were at the max 1, you have to make 1 to get to level 2, 1 to make level 1, and then 1 more to get cured.
Right.
And then medicine and magic can automatically cure it or help with your saving throw.
Right.
But it's kind of that same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you have to actually make it not in conjunction. You have to make them one after another.
Yep, succession. Yep.
Yes, succession. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's. Yeah. I don't know. Fucking death saves.
Yeah, death saves.
They're weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
D&D's made that save. Yeah. She stood up with her allies around her and cast Mass Cure Wounds. This was such a cool, emotional, and cinematic moment when she stood up and turned the tide in battle. And props to you if you noticed it, but there's another homebrew in that story. Number 4, Heroic Recovery. Now, when a player gets knocked unconscious in combat and all they can do is roll death saves, it's pretty lame. And yes, I know they probably had it coming and deserved whatever they did to go unconscious. And the best case scenario here is that player rolls 3 successes in a row, and now they stabilize at 0.
Yeah.
Also lame. I like to put a brighter light at the end of that tunnel, where if they actually succeed on all of their saving throws, they come back at 1 HP.
No, so we've already got the, if you roll a nat 20, you come back, because that is your heroic recovery.
That is that, yeah.
I don't see why you would need to do that differently.
Yeah, and I mean, getting a 1 out of 2 on 3 rolls is not really that hard.
No, yeah.
If you're dice cursed, yes. But, I mean...
Yeah, no, not so much about this one.
Yeah, not really. It doesn't really need to happen. I can understand it if you're in, like, a big fucking important moment, but, I mean, even then,
even then, like, I feel like failure should at least be an option. I don't know. This feels less... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's only once. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
Both ends of death saving throws really suspenseful. The character could die, or they could come back to the fight. This can also help prevent snowballs of TPKs if your party's low on healing, or your healer's the one that's unconscious. All your party can come together and help bring him back up. Or how epic would it be if you got yourself back up and you stand up, wipe off the blood, ready for more. And the last missing piece to all
I thought we were just...
Number 5.
Wait a minute. Wasn't this whole thing how, like, oh, you went down and you're now at 1 HP and you're supposed to be super weak, and now he's more in favor of you stand up, wipe the blood off, and you're ready to go, even though I'm only at 1 HP?
Like,
I thought that was the point.
Yeah, I don't know. So there is obviously the argument for adrenaline.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
And that's what I see in, like, relentless endurance for orcs, that they get to, or half orcs, that they get to go, and then they're fine.
Yeah, they get to wah.
They get to wah for just a moment, and then die the next hit because they wah
because that's orcs.
But
half orcs, my bad.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a weird kind of 180.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can understand the rule of cool sometimes, but
yeah, definitely
not when it's a direct contradiction of your original point.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's just think about it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
unless we missed something.
Beginning of your turn. Now, if you don't really use number 4, then this one's kind of useless. All this is my players technically make their death save at the beginning of their turn. So instead of succeeding on that save and their turn's over, they stand up and can do something. Seriously, guys, it's so epic when this happens, and is way cooler, in my opinion, than rules as written. And side note, you can totally give this to your enemies too. If you got a big bruiser.
Yeah, so this continues that whole, like...
Well, this is different, because I think what he's implying here is kind of a fight for your life kind of thing in Borderlands, where you're down but you're still up. You're actively going down, but you're still up.
No. He said that this was in conjunction with number 4, because if you don't have that, then you're not doing this. And 4 is his heroic recovery thing, which is you get an HP back when you get 3 successes.
Right. Yeah.
So, what? No.
So, wait a minute. Hang on. Let's go back. I feel like hang on. Let's see. Just the very beginning of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a little bit. Okay.
All your party can come together and help bring him back up. Or how epic would it be if you got yourself back up and you stand up, wipe off the blood, ready for more. And the last missing piece to all of this is number 5, death saving throws at the beginning of your turn. Now, if you don't really use number 4, then this one's kind of useless. All this is make their death save at the beginning of their turn.
I didn't hear that.
So like...
I thought, when he said that, I thought he meant you can... Basically, I thought he said you can use this instead of 4. That's what I thought he said.
Yeah, no,
what?
It's perpetuating this thing, and it's like, I thought the point was to
be I thought you wanted realism out of this.
Yeah, I thought
that's what the issue was.
Maybe I misunderstood your point. Because the title is Fix Death Saving Throws.
Yeah.
But I don't know about having this fix it. This just makes it so that, again, death
it has
isn't...
basically no point until you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why even worry about it unless, like, again, you could just do the same. I could flavor you getting a single hit point from a lay on hands as this exact scenario.
Yeah.
Right? You just get up and you just wipe the blood from your mouth and you rush forward ready for battle, like, already.
Yeah, right.
Like,
okay. Kind of losing me.
Kind of losing me there. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Instead of succeeding on that save and their turn's over, they stand up and can do something. Seriously, guys, it's so epic when this happens and is way
epic. But
epic. We're back in the 2010s.
It's definitely like, yes, it would be cooler in a cinematic sense to say, hey, the guy you just fucking got knocked down, he gets up and he's like wiping himself off and he's like struggling to get up and he gets up and he goes and charges forward and yeah, absolutely, that's more cinematically pleasing. But for this instance,
for every death saving throw, every time this happens, no.
Yeah, and also, like, yes, I get the idea of you stabilize and get a health point back and then you can do something, but can we not talk about how you just literally came back from the dead in a way? Like, are you gonna be immediately able to orient yourself in 6 seconds? Right? Think about it. A round is 6 seconds, and once you have been unconscious, you're probably seeing stars as you, like, open your eyes, or you're at least getting vertigo. Like, you're spinning a bit, your whole world is spinning a bit, but, like, you get up and you're, like, trying to get to your feet. It's gonna take you a little bit there.
You know, actually, that now that you're describing that brings an occasion to mind.
Okay.
I have... I think, I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know if it's an allergy or just a bad reaction to something in Suave shampoo.
Okay, yeah.
And a long time ago, this is why I never use Suave shampoo. I have to use other ones. A long time ago, I was just taking a shower. And it was one of those showers where I felt like, you know, having the water really hot and got like the, you know, when you have a hot shower, it steams up the whole fucking bathroom.
Yeah.
Did my hair and I was washing it off. And in the time it took me to get the majority of the shampoo off of out of my hair and hit the ground, splashing, you know, steaming, and it was in the steam now. I was breathing it in as you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had trouble breathing, standing, seeing, and it was those three. I had trouble breathing, standing, and seeing. Shit. And the only way I can describe the way I was taught having the only way I can describe my vision at the time is, you know, when you look at the sun or a light bulb and then you look away and you have that after image in your eye? Imagine that covering your entire field of vision.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
And then I was having trouble breathing and standing. So I was like, I had to like hold on to stuff. My legs were weak. It was real bad.
Yeah, no, it's fucking scary.
It was scary. That's what I imagine what would happen if you get up after falling unconscious in the manner that you usually do in D&D, where you're getting like fucking clubbed upside the head.
And let's say best case scenario, you get clubbed in the side of the head, you fall to the ground, you skid, you know, a little bit, and then it takes you 18 seconds, because that's 3 rounds of you doing your saves, right? 18 seconds to get up and do that.
Best case scenario, 18 seconds.
Best case scenario, yeah. I would even say, in a better case scenario, you've been able to sit there for a little longer.
I just mean like shortest amount of time.
No, of course, yeah. And so, but like, 18 seconds have passed, and seconds, yes, I understand seconds are pretty long. I used to do track and field, and man, it feels weird seeing how many seconds like it takes. It's strange watching that millisecond timer. But like, I don't think 18 seconds is enough for your brain to stop. I mean, maybe it is to stop rattling as you get up. It's very hard for me to at least rationalize it, and that could just be me, right? But and with the it being a natural thing and not a magical thing, I can rationalize it even less, because if you just gain an HP via, and I honestly I kind of feel the same way about the natural 20, getting up thing. I mean, it could just be more of a adrenaline thing in that moment. Mm-hmm. I don't know. However you want to describe it, and I feel like adrenaline would help with you focusing a lot more.
Yeah, it would.
So like, yeah, okay. For the roll of a 20 on your death save, then yeah, okay, cool. But for just naturally you after 3 successes you just get up. I don't know. Less likely, in my opinion. So
because like, I had a point. Damn it. Like even in most like anime shows where there's a big fight going on, the main character gets fucking yeeted into a wall.
Yep, takes him a second.
It usually takes them a few moments. And I mean, and here's the thing. In an anime fight scene, a few moments may as well be like 10,000 years.
Yeah, it's forever.
If Goku charging a spirit bomb can take 5 minutes and 8 episodes, it's fucking... it's weird.
Time's weird in anime.
And now you're trying to rationalize it in a... now you're trying to make it realistic. You're not going to get up and be fighting fit that quickly.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Especially, I don't know.
Because, I mean, here's the thing. You might be able to get up and swing, but that does not mean you are fighting.
Yeah, you might get that half-hearted swing, right? Yeah, because you can barely do it, but...
That's like your body subconsciously being like, we're still in danger, defend, and that's it.
Yeah, and again, yes, the... forgive me, epicness of...
Yeah, the epicness.
of D&D is obviously there, it being a fantasy and stuff. Like, yes, I get that, and it depends on the amount of realism. But I just, for this one, I just can't find my brain to accept it for the amount of realism that is wanted, I guess.
Yeah. And like, we want realism in our game. And the fact that you started off saying you wanted to be more realistic and then backpedaling on it
feels
just... Here's the thing. Had he prefaced these two by saying... I would only use these if rule of cool dictates,
Sure, yeah.
Because I can understand using these if rule of cool or rule of final boss is going on, know, and you want it to be the most epic of encounters.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes shit happens, man.
Yeah.
If you don't come prepared to take the fucking big fuck off evil guy, you kind of fucked up.
Or
because I would hope that most DMs are like, the whole time throughout the adventure are foreshadowing what this thing can do.
Yeah.
This thing, this person, this whatever can do. And so you'll be like kind of prepared for that. Like the whole adventure of like Legend of Zelda, get Master Sword, then kill Ganon. Unless you're playing Ocarina of Time, in which case you can do it with pots now, apparently.
Yeah. It's
great. Or a fishing rod, or a bottle.
Right. Any of those.
But the whole time you've been prepping for this, at least theoretically. So it just seems kind of strange to need these.
Yeah, like...
I don't know.
And it would also feel weird if I were in a like, if we're at level 3, level 1, whatever, and we fight a group of kobolds... and the same thing happened, right? Like, if that happened first, then I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I had an idea for a campaign where either one of these might work for one very specific story beat.
Okay.
And here's the deal. Since I won't be able to use this for years, I don't care about sharing it. And I actually got this from Seven Deadly Sins because it came up and it was just a really, really cool moment in the show. It was actually only like a 20-second moment, but it was really cool. Basically, in the Seven Deadly Sins, there are 7 major characters. One of them is named Escanor. Mm-hmm. And he's like, did you watch Full Metal Alchemist, right?
I did.
He's basically like Armstrong.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, he's like that. And his whole deal is that he is super, super, super powerful in the daytime. And his power peaks at noon, as long as the sun is shining on him.
Right.
His power is called sunshine. And here's the thing. There are 4 archangels in that universe. And each of the archangels are granted what's called a grace. Yeah. You can see where I'm going with this. And there are one of the archangels is dead. He was killed a long time ago.
Sure.
And guess what his power was? It was sunshine.
Oh.
So what happens is the archangels find, or one of the archangels like senses Escanor's powers, like, hey, how the fuck do you have that shit? That's ours. That's one of the graces. And so you have this really cool moment where one of these archangels, and he's the classic, really pompous, haughty, I'm literally more holier than thou type of archangel. Is like, give that power back, that doesn't belong to you. And then you have Escanor, who's the sin of pride, being all indignant, like, this isn't yours. Regardless of who this belonged to originally, it chose me. It's my power now.
Sure, yeah.
And so you have this cool moment where the archangels are arguing with a human about this power. And so I had this idea that would work for anywhere from like 1 to 4 player characters, where they're all reincarnations of ancient dead archangels.
Okay.
And the archangels thing is that they're the most powerful of the angels, but they were given enough free will to where they can make their own decisions and stuff, and they can act as the emissaries of any god they choose to serve, as long as they're not like blatantly evil. You know, they're any one of the good to neutral pantheon. They can work with any of them because most of the angels are like, oh, my god told me to do this. It must be right. If you stand in my way, you are evil. You know, they won't listen to anybody's opinion. And so I thought it would be a really cool thing where the party is going around doing their own thing. And then they start fighting this cult or this undead whatever. And the cult is responsible for trying to bring back an evil god, a god that the archangels sacrifice themselves to seal away.
Okay. Yep.
The cult, they actually wind up breaking the seal, but there's still more shit they need to do. So the god is technically released, but needs to be resurrected. Now that the seal has been broken, the power of archangels is released, and it finds its way into the player characters. And so it's kind of a backup measure from the archangels, where even if you break the seal, we're coming back to kill you in one form or another.
Gotcha.
So the cult breaks the seal. The party goes in. The party basically all dies. Except the power of the archangels wakes them back up again. And again, that's that one story beat where this would happen. The power of the archangels wakes them back up. They win the fight. And then they have to go and like stop the cult, you know, using and training this power. After they beat back the god, now they have like the second arc starts, and they fight like indignant, jealous angels and gods, who are like, hey, you're the fucking reincarnations of the archangels. The angels are like, hey, give us that power. We want to be more powerful and be better servants of our gods. And the gods are like, hey, you have that power. Come serve us. Instead of, you know, when the archangels were their own, they were free agents.
Yeah.
So, sorry, very long-winded. That is the only way I can see this kind of a thing working really well, where you have a big, huge story reason for why it happens. And again, it's something you can really only do once.
Yeah.
Because even in that situation, the power brought you back, but if you die again, it's going to find a more worthy vessel.
Yeah.
Because you died twice, huh? Maybe I made a bad choice. I'm going to go find somebody else, you know?
Sure, yeah. All right, let's see about his number 6, hopefully. No, you're good.
Cooler, in my opinion, than rules as written. And side note, you can totally give this to your enemies too. If you got a big bruiser that's hard to knock down, describe him getting knocked out. Roll some saving throws behind the screen and see if he comes back. This is a spicy one. Number 6, secret death saving throws.
That's how it should always be.
I go back and forth on this one on whether I want to use it or not, but it's such a good one, so I'll let you guys decide. All this is where the DM rolls the death saving throws behind the screen. The pros of this is the pure suspense of not knowing if your character's going to die or one of your party members are going to die.
This isn't that uncommon. I've heard of it before. I would say that it's it depends, right? Like, depends on if they want to take their own destiny in their own hands or not. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, the way I would do it, I don't know how comfortable I would be giving the death saves to the DM unless I really trust the DM. And the way I would do it is either let the DM do it if I really trust them to do it, or if they ask if they can do it, and I'll be like, okay, you know. Or I just do it myself and keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah,
because I mean that's what happened when we played the Fur campaign and Mike died. We didn't know how close he was to getting up.
True, that's right.
And we had like a death channel. I remember that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
That
was the time.
That was also just because we were, doing it over Discord and stuff, and so you couldn't see the rolls and stuff as well.
But I think even if we weren't doing that, I would have put my book up and be like,
it's definitely something that it adds to the immersion and suspense. Which is really cool. But it's not for everyone, and I understand that.
Yeah. I think it's fine.
Oh yeah,
again, absolutely. From my point of view, I would like it. I would prefer to do it that way.
Sure.
But again, everybody's different.
You really wouldn't know just by looking at a body if it's getting closer to death or not. And this method definitely hits that frantic vibe at the table, and players freak out. So even if I roll 2 successes and no failures, they have no idea and are just as terrified, as they should be. For the con side of things, the reason I personally don't use this is I feel like my other homebrew rules I already listed already hit that tension at the table. With death saving throws not resetting, large blows being able to take people out entirely, and you haven't even heard the last one on this list. I feel like my players already have.
So it's the Pathfinder 2e wounded condition.
Like when they can see
it looks to be so.
Okay, so then wait a minute. Hang on.
Yeah.
If you're going to be doing the Pathfinder 2e wounded condition, why keep the death saves after you get up if you already have this?
I assume this is the alternative.
I hope it's the alternative.
I believe so, but even so, for his thing, I'm glad that he doesn't think that he needs to do this because of his own thing. That's fine. That's fair enough.
Yeah,
that car crash, and they do everything in their power to stop it from happening. And on that same note, I think a player could also feel robbed if they didn't even see it coming. It would feel better if you see each moment as the fuse gets down to the end. I also feel like the players have a connection to the dice, and them not being the one rolling their own death saves feels bad to me. But you could solve this by having the player roll behind your screen for you, which also ties into the last reason of why I don't, because it keeps things 100% honest. When these big moments finally reach a climax, and a character either makes it out alive or dies, I want them to know that there was zero fudging behind the screens. Big finale here, number 7, the Pathfinder wounded condition. Pathfinder's wounded and dying conditions hit the nail on the head for that feel that I'm looking for with these death saving throws. But I don't want to throw an entirely new system that's confusing to my players. So I took Pathfinder's 2nd edition rules and homebrewed them to fit D&D 5th edition. It's super simple. Here's how it works. Only new thing here is this wounded condition that we'll talk about in a second. Everything else is rules as written. Or also use all my homebrews from above. So here's your death saves, and let's say a player falls unconscious. They would then start rolling death saving throws, gathering successes and failures along the way. And once they reach 1, 2, 3 failures, their character is fully dead. But we're not dead yet, so let's reset these, and here's an example of how this wounded condition works. A player falls unconscious and starts making death saving throws. And let's just say for this example, they get 1 success and 1 failure before they're healed back up. Now time out. Here's where this wounded condition comes in. When a player is brought back to consciousness, all their successes and failures reset. But they gain the wounded 1 condition. They just almost died, but now they're back, and they're just a little wounded. Don't worry, you still have the same fighting capabilities as before, you're not any weaker. But in the event of you going unconscious again, here's what happens. I'm going to use a fancy hand demonstration here. If you have the wounded 1 condition and you fall unconscious again, you now start off with 1 death saving throw already failed. No more whack-a-mole here. So to keep this example going, let's say the hero's on top of their game and immediately heals them back up. Whew, close call. But now that player has the wounded 2 condition.
Yep.
You might see where this is going now. That player's back up, fighting, ready for action.
So it's basically still the same as 2e, Pathfinder 2e.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we've already kind of discussed that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good
it's a great system.
Yeah,
It's
very
great.
much enjoy
Love
it. Okay, cool.
Yep.
But if the wounded 2 player falls unconscious, they start off with 2 death saving throw fails already.
Man,
so it just takes
how does he do it? You know, he takes his 2 fingers and he has his
like
other
he
hands.
His hand.
Yeah, I don't get how does. I can't do it, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Ah, fuck.
Instructions unclear. I made 5 with 2.
Oh, fuck.
1 death saving throw failure, and they're dead. To finish off this example, let's say that healer heals them back up again. They now have the wounded 3 condition. And wounded 3 is really bad, because if a player has wounded 3 and they fall unconscious, they immediately fail.
It's gonna do it.
3 death saving
How do you do it?
And they're dead. This system entirely fixes the whole whack-a-mole concept of getting knocked out and coming back over and over again. You can also combine this with some of my other systems. And just like in my other homebrews, to get that wound level down, a short rest could bring it down by 1, and a long rest could bring it down by 2. If a player's really low on health and they take a massive blow, whatever damage is left over from bringing them to 0, if that reaches higher than 25, you could have that fail another death saving throw. Here's another bonus way you can handle this new rule system of mine. You can run it rules as written, and any player that falls unconscious starts making death saving throws. But any failures they accumulate stay with them in a wounded condition. So if they have 2 death saving throws, that stays with them as the wounded 2 condition. So next time they go unconscious, they start with that.
So yeah, he did actually elaborate on that.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, even so, with using it like that, you don't even need to talk about it as a wounded condition. You just have it be the death saves that are static.
Yeah, you just have the ones that don't go anywhere.
Yeah, you have the fixed death saves that you had from the very beginning. Right? Yeah, you don't have to call it anything else. You just have it be what it is. You don't have to worry about the wounded thing. Like
But you could though.
Well, like, so I agree I agree that using the Pathfinder 2e thing is cool. Mm-hmm. But like, if you're using your fixed death saving throw thing, then you already are doing that, right? Like, entirely. Yeah. So there's no.
But you could write wounded on your sheet, though.
But you could write wounded on your conditions part of your sheet. There you go. I guess.
Flaws. Wounded.
It's just like, what is it? An unnecessary repetition, I feel.
Yes. Oh, like, absolutely it is.
I feel like that's just it.
I guess if you just want to really, really use the Pathfinder 2e wounded thing.
Yeah. I mean, or if you really, really want to say that you have 7 homebrew things.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, what's the point of the first one? If, like, they're 2 things that already go together. It's the same thing twice.
I know.
So that's it. Like I said, you can mix and match all these rules to find that right feel for death at your table.
Honestly, the Pathfinder 2e system alone is plenty, really.
Very differently for different groups. So talk to your players and find out where they're at. Enough with all this death talk. Let's talk about some happy stuff.
I'd rather not.
Another giveaway.
No.
Okay, okay. Your giveaway, I don't care about your giveaway.
Your giveaway's not happy.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's fixed death saving throws from the dungeon coach.
The dungeon coach.
Yeah, not too bad. Definitely
not too bad, aside from the fact that you went back on your original point, but
yeah, a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, maybe missed something or something. I don't know. It just didn't feel right with the whole heroic recovery thing. And using the same thing twice in a way. I don't know. It feels weird.
You're weird, man.
But
not horrible.
It's not horrible, and that's the important part.
Yes. And it wasn't a slog that took us like 3 hours.
It is true. It is true. So let's take a brief intermission here, and we'll be back in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back. So next up, we have.
Oh, is it something degen?
No. So this is a channel that I found a long time ago, before even thinking about doing the show.
Okay.
And it's from somebody who runs a channel called Monarch's Factory. Her name is Dale, I think. That's Kingsmill Method of Death and Injury, D&D with Dale. But yes, I found her just when I was looking through for D&D stuff a long while ago, and she is what inspired me / I stole from her the using hobo signs as thieves' cant stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she had that as one of her things that she did, and I was like, oh, that's really cool, yoink. So that's a thing. So yeah. This is her things on death and injury. So yeah, here we go.
Hello humans, my name is Dale Kingsmill. We're talking about D&D again, because of course we are. I just love it so much. A stack of you did express interest in the comments of my last D&D video regarding my sort of injuries and death systems, and I realized immediately after receiving those comments that the way I handle death isn't exactly like a mechanical system so much as a narrative element. So it probably wouldn't be able to fill up a whole video on its own, so I'm chucking it in with injuries. You get both, it's a twofer. So I mean, I guess real quick, the way that I handle death, this seems like a nonchalant way to handle death. We should be more somber. The way that I handle death in a Dungeons and Dragons game. It comes down to that ever-present question of how do we make death still like a proper risk and something that carries narrative weight in a game where you can resurrect people. By now I'm sure we all know and love Matt Mercer's system of resurrection, and I absolutely incorporate things like
hang on. I've heard that a few times. What is Matt Mercer's resurrection method?
I believe so I think, and I've only seen it, I don't think I've ever looked at it, but I think it's like when you use resurrection on somebody, you give offerings as well as a part of the resurrection spell. So and these offerings, I think, as far as I'm aware, they can be monetary, they can be an item, they can be a memory, they can be a level, like that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
So it's not just that you're getting them back, it's also that you're sacrificing so that they can come back.
I see. Okay.
I don't know if that's entirely Actually, I could probably look it up just to make sure.
Yeah, probably. Because I've heard this a few times over the course of the show, and I've never seen Critical Role. So
right. Mercer.
I don't have like fucking 1,000 hours to devote to it.
It's fair. Okay, here we go. So. Okay, so. His thing is character death. I just realized I didn't switch to this. Whoops. Character death can often prove to become a minor inconvenience. In some campaigns, once the adventuring party reaches a certain level, with spells being available to return fallen comrades from the afterlife with temporary setbacks, robbing a small element of danger and threat to future conflicts, blah, blah, blah. Okay. If a character is dead, and a resurrection is attempted by a spell or spell effect with longer than one action casting time, a resurrection challenge is initiated. Up to 3 members of the adventuring party can offer to contribute to the ritual via a contribution skill check. The DM asks them each to make a skill check based on their form of contribution, with the DC of the check adjusting to how helpful / impactful the DM feels the contribution would be. For example, praying to the god of the devout fallen character may require an intelligence religion check, at an easy to medium difficulty, where loudly demanding the soul of the fallen to return from the ether may require a charisma intimidation check. At a very hard or nearly impossible difficulty. Advantage and disadvantage can apply here based on how perfect or off base the contribution is offered. After all the contributions are completed, the DM then rolls a single final resurrection success check with no modifier. The base DC for the final resurrection check is 10, increasing by 1 for each previous successful resurrection the character has undergone, signifying the slow erosion of the soul's connection to this world. For each successful combination skill check, the DC is decreased by 3, whereas each failed contribution skill check increases the DC by 1.
Okay.
And then they can come back. It succeeds.
Seems pretty easy.
Yeah, it's supposed to, I assume,
It definitely reinforces roleplay a lot.
Yes, it reinforces roleplay. It also does that. I like the idea of the degrading connection to the world. The more that you die, the harder it is to come back. I like that a lot. I must have been thinking of a different alternate resurrection thing when I was talking about the other thing. But yes, I think honestly, it's one of those things where it's easy to do in the beginning, but if you make a habit of dying, it's not going to be that easy. Plus, only 3 people can help you with it. It's not like you can get a maximum, if everyone succeeds, a maximum of 9. 9 taken away, right? From whatever the DC
it would
is.
be. And the first one would be 1. You would literally have to botch.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, I feel like that's fair for, the first one, right? A resurrection first time, it'll take a lot out of you, but,
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Okay, because I needed to know that, because I kept hearing that over and over again.
Yes. By the way, those of you out there that want to know, I found this on Geek and Sundry's website. It is right here. So you can go and look that up. Anyway, here we go.
To resurrection ritual. Love it. Brilliant. Narratively dramatic, but just adding to the cinematic vibe of it in order to sort of limit how powerful resurrection is in my games, just to nerf it just a little bit. I just want to punch up that adrenaline a little bit, like maybe it genuinely won't happen. So my narrative excuse for this is that in my setting, the way a resurrection works is that the cleric who is casting the resurrection spell, basically it's like a good Horcrux. They split off a tiny little bit of their soul, they sacrifice a little bit of their soul in order to pin the soul of the deceased into their body. So it forms this link, this soul link, if you will. Hey, shout out to the
And then,
Pokemon
better hope your cleric doesn't die.
So yeah, basically just a piece of the cleric who brought them back is holding their soul into their body. Which means a couple of things. First of all, I like to say that it means that no cleric can resurrect the same one person more than once. The party cleric would be able to resurrect every other party member once, but after that they're going to have to start actually trying to make the trek to find other clerics in time to resurrect the deceased. Which I'm not sure yet whether or not I'd put a time limit on that, like saying, oh, you have to do it before the next moon because that's when the souls depart. That sounds cool, but I've not had to deal with death that much yet, so it also means, just for a cool, role-playing avenue, because I think that players who have died and come back, in my experience, mostly, they want to have a thing that they can latch on to say, wow, this is a reminder that I carry with me. And at first, I used a bunch of different suggestions on Reddit.
We were just kind of watching it now, I just realized, but also...
Yeah, right? Just kind of listening, because it's still kind of a point that she's making.
It's true.
Yeah, you better hope your fucking cleric doesn't die.
Yeah, no, I think...
It's like, oh, wait, I resurrect all you. And then, the big bad knows that, and oh, okay, sniper shot. Pew!
Yeah,
everybody's
exactly,
fucking dead.
Cleric goes and everybody dies. Yeah, no, I like the idea because then it adds more weight to resurrection again. that's kind of the main thing about resurrection and death in D&D is that it has very little weight, you know?
Yeah,
like
there's almost none. Once you have resurrection and you're playing rules as written, it has almost none.
The only one spell that has that weight there is I would say what is it? What's the one where you come back as something else?
Clone?
No.
Revivify?
No, that's the in like 2 seconds. I'll find it. Hold on. My brain cannot remember the word. It's an R word.
Resurrection?
Nope. That's the one. That's that thing.
What are most healing spells? School, I mean.
Necromancy, I think.
Okay.
Reincarnate. Reincarnation. That's the only one that I see as being a one that has more weight because, like, hey, I'm now something entirely different.
Yeah.
Right? Like, then you have to deal with that, what your identity is now because you are something that you weren't. Right? Yeah. That's a whole thing. That's something that's super weighty, but with just regular resurrection, if I look at it right here, yeah, you touch a dead creature, blah blah blah, it comes back.
Man.
What?
I'm just seeing the D100 roll here.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool.
That's cool.
I wish they had more races on there. That's why I like to have a resurrection table have like many races because like all the playable stuff, right? Because they don't have tabaxi and stuff in this because they didn't have that at the time. But so yeah, with regular resurrection, you come back from the dead and you just get a -4 penalty to like everything until you take
become
4
adjusted to the body.
Well, no, until you take 4 long rests because it goes down by 1 every day, basically. Every long rest for resurrection. Yeah.
Oh, resurrection, yes.
Yes. No, for
I meant for reincarnation.
Yeah, no. For reincarnation, it's just it's
just the body change.
You're a body. And that is more weighty. And then like revivify, that's fine. I'm fine with revivify.
Now here's my question though.
Yeah.
If you do reincarnation,
okay.
You roll your D100 and you get your race.
Yeah.
How many sided dice do you have to roll for the gender?
Let's not go into that. Oh boy! All right. Anyway, woo! Let's continue.
Yeah, right?
Roll tables that would give you a mark of the grave. And those are really cool. I love the idea of getting like just a one-off aspect of a lot of undead creatures. The idea that you don't have a reflection, just like a vampire doesn't have a reflection because you're dead and somehow the universe knows it. But after a while that all got really, really complicated, and in the end I decided to just go with the concept of the eyes are the window to the soul. And so when someone is resurrected, brought back from the dead by a cleric, one or both of their eyes change color to the color of the cleric's eyes to reflect that they've got a piece of someone else's soul in their body, shoved in there. And it also...
Isn't that cool? That's cool.
That's neat.
I like that idea, right? Like, it links them to the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very weird.
Yeah, that would be weird.
It's like
I think you go weirder than that.
You go to see your parents the next day, and then they're like, "Why are your eyes like your eyes were brown before? Why are they blue?"
I died.
It doesn't.
They just be like completely straight with them. Yeah. I died.
What? Huh?
It's like oh yeah, I heard the clerics have to like that. Some people eyes change when they get revived. Okay,
right? Yeah, it could be a whole thing, or they might not even know, and they just be like, "What the?" Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, right.
Also means that if the cleric who performed the resurrection were to die and their soul depart at the next new moon or whatever, what have you, then anyone that they have their soul pinning to the mortal plane would die also.
There it is!
Some really cool hooks. It would only be the cleric who last resurrected them. So maybe suddenly the clerics who've resurrected one of your party members start being targeted and killed. And you find out that an old enemy of the party, unable to get to them directly, has been hunting down the clerics one at a time, trying to find the one who performed this last.
Here's the thing. This would be a really, really interesting way to make like this weird, horrible domino effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You start hunting down like the oldest clerics, and you have this like chaotic neutral cult doing it. And they literally, their whole motivation, they just want to see who drops. That would be weird and
that
cool.
would be strange, yeah.
And then it would be like, you meet these people who are like really interesting and they're real nice and you like them, and then all of a sudden they just drop dead. And then when you open their eyes are different colors. Like, oh shit, he was a dead guy who got resurrected. Who killed his cleric? Who killed his priest? And then you have this weird whole thing where you're trying to stop the resurrected people from dying, even though you're kind of trying to mess with the natural order of shit, and it'd be really interesting. Gods of death and like neutral gods of death probably would be all for it. Maybe it's a neutral god of death's cult who's like, oh, they should have died then. You can't go against the will of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be really weird.
Yeah, no, and like, it's one of those things where it's just the fact that it's the very last person that you bring back. It's just like, oh god. And like, oh man, I can just think of like maybe a king, right? A king just dies. No one knows why, he just dies. And then you have this whole mystery, and then you find out about this stuff. Oh man, that'd be super cool.
And then like you start hearing about rashes of just people just
dropping.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. It's just like this whole thing.
That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Maybe like the king and his entourage and like his family were all victims of an assassination, and they had like 4 powerful or like 5 or however many powerful clerics bring them all back. And then like another country finds out, and they're like, they send assassins like, go kill these clerics, and like we'll fuck up the whole country and we'll take over or something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know, some thoughts. By the way, just for the record, I'm not that good of a DM, I just think a lot. So take everything I say and just throw it into the Dead Sea. Because, like, that's the amount of salt that you should be using when I'm talking to you about this stuff. You gotta tweak it. You gotta make it work for you and your game. So that's...
Yeah! Make it work for your game!
Because I knew she was gonna say take it with a grain of salt. I didn't expect to eat it in the Dead Sea.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
funny.
That's the best way. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I was just more going, like, thank you for saying yes.
Yeah.
Tweak it to how it works for you. It's like what we said when what's his face, the guy on Twitter who does like cyberpunk stuff, says hack it, make it work for your game, right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
Oh man,
because that's how it always should be. You always need to change shit.
Yeah.
God, why couldn't they just get it right the first time? I gotta change all this shit myself, right? Why couldn't they just make it good for everybody?
Yeah.
On death. Now, injuries. This is my pre-organized notebook. You can see it's just full of just random mixed notes. It's impossible to find anything in here. I think the important thing when it comes to injuries, at least in my game, because everyone is really looking for that sort of cinematic, character-driven experience, what it comes down to is everyone wants cool scars, but they want them to feel right. You know, it has to feel appropriately dramatic and earned, if that makes sense. And also remember that I devised this because so many of my player characters took medicine as one of their skills, and I didn't want that to go to waste. So I wanted to devise a system that would create situations in which they would encounter injuries that would not be healed via magic. So here's what I've put together. So if a player of level 3 or above takes more than half of their total hit points worth in 1 strike of damage, they must make a Constitution save of DC 15. Or suffer a potentially mortal wound. So I personally set my
That's
at
Cthulhu.
level 3, which is when most of my players will have over 20 hit points. You might decide that you want to up the level of that. Similarly, the DC is 15. That's quite a high DC in some ways. So you might want to lower the DC. The choice is yours. But I think do remember that the DC, I think, is allowed to be a little bit higher because it already has the prerequisite of they need to have met a certain threshold of damage taken in 1 strike. Note that it's not 1 turn, it's 1 strike. So they have to take a certain amount of damage in one hit. Secondly, they need to fail a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. So only after that, a failed save uses its total result to determine the wound sustained. So that's like a lot of requirements to hit an injury, but I think that's important for the sake of an injury feeling important. That's why I can't quite get behind fumble tables being used for injuries, because it'll just be like, you rolled a 1, you have to roll a crit fail on this, D100 thing, and then, oh, you lost your foot, which, I mean, losing your foot seems weird. Or like you lose your nose, you lose your ear. That's not a fun injury. We want these to be fun, dramatic.
Well, you don't know that.
Yeah, it's definitely
because if you lose your nose, now you're the guy who's like, hey, go in the fucking sewer and kill that Otyugh or some shit.
Yeah,
literally, or some shit.
Yeah, right. And I know in the DMG for 5e, there's the injury tables and stuff, which I have used, and I don't know, like the way that they've done it already, like for that variant, feels just fine, I would say. Yeah. There is definitely the whole like how do you justify this getting having you lose an arm when it's like, I don't know, a bludgeoning weapon, I guess, or like, something. Yeah. I mean, I can figure that out, but you understand.
Yeah,
what I mean.
You can fucking have shit knocked off with a blunt weapon. It doesn't have to be cut. It would be fucking awful, but it can happen.
It'd be horrible. Yes, and like yes, I what I mean is like having something that's harder to explain, I guess.
Yeah.
And like. I remember I was telling before, a long while ago, I think, at this point, that I was using them only when people would fall, when they would go unconscious, right? That's when I would have them roll the injury table to see, or not the injury table, to roll a Constitution save to see if they rolled on the injury table.
If they got that injury.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would roll on the injury table, and that's how I got my mercenary captain to have double scarring on his face, a cross scar, to give him that intimidation kind of factor.
Well, is his nickname Crossfire?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, and I agree that in the game, if you take half your hit points, like, man, that's a lot. And
yeah, that's big.
You should probably have something happen to you. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think her issue with injuries coming on fumbles can be easily fixed by implementing a confirmation thing.
Yes.
So if you roll a 1, it's a botch, and then you roll to confirm.
Yes.
It's the same thing you roll to confirm.
Yeah,
but
that's what we were doing before. Yeah.
Yeah, where you roll 1 and it's a miss/botch, and then you roll again. If you get another 1, then you get the injury table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I like. That's what I think should happen if it's specifically a botch that you're rolling. And there are. I think most DMs are kind of afraid to say. I feel like most DMs are kind of afraid to ask for a moment to think. Because I think most DMs think it shows some sort of lack of preparedness or something. It's something in there where we're like, I don't want to look to my players like I haven't considered this. I don't want to. It's that you don't want to lose that kind of mystique.
Yes, yeah, that you're the all-knowing, all-powerful, all that.
Yeah because that's when, like, and I guarantee you that most players won't think that way at all. Because if you've played D&D as a DM or a player for really any amount of time, you realize that things can go tits up real quick.
Oh yeah.
In terms of the story and the pacing and the progress and all kinds of shit, where. Yeah. A DM cannot account for players. Not at all.
No.
I try to do that with you guys and I get fucked on. But it really is as simple as just saying, okay, we'll go back to her using a botch and injury at the same time.
Yeah.
If you have that system, you could, you roll a botch, and we'll just say, you're swinging a sword or something.
Sure.
And you get that botch and you cut your own nose off. And I'm like, oh, fuck. That's where I would be like, okay, hang on. This is weird. Give me a moment here.
Right, to figure out how that fucking worked.
Yeah. And so you literally just take a few moments to just think about it. And I guarantee you, players will be like, yeah, no, take your time.
Yeah,
and
most
like
of the
every
time, I would say.
They'll say that, yeah, take your time. Because they want it to make sense just as much as you do. Because if it doesn't make sense, then they're going to feel cheated. And if it doesn't make sense, you're going to feel like you couldn't narrate it well enough.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And hell, if it happens to you, if you have this system, here's an easy one. You're swinging a sword, and you cut your own nose off. How does that happen? Well, you fucking swing your sword really, really hard, and you slam it down to the enemy's armor. The blade fucking snaps, and a shard of the blade ricochets back to your face and like cleanly slices your nose off.
Sure, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of a different way.
Okay.
Where
what was your way?
like you're swinging your sword, and the opponent parries it, and has you in a contest.
A clash?
Yeah, a clash. Yeah, and so then they push it off of you, and you don't anticipate when they push it, and so it goes back and cuts into your nose.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know.
Either way.
Yeah.
So if you just have to be willing to. It takes a lot of trust of your players.
Yes.
I don't know how many DMs would be comfortable doing that with like players that they don't know. Because again, that's kind of a big thing. When you're DMing, you really do have that fear in the back of your head where you feel like you might lose your players' respect.
Yeah, there's that anxiety always.
Yeah. I guarantee you, unless you have asshole players, it's not going to happen.
No, but it doesn't stop you from worrying about it.
Exactly. Yes, I understand it. Don't worry, because I've had that. I had that. I don't have it anymore, where I will literally like drag the game into a fucking ditch and be like, hang on, let me get a name.
Right, yeah.
Or if I come across a situation, I'm like, here, give me a second. It's a thing, because I know you guys don't care.
Right, yeah.
And it's clearly something like, and when I say that, it's kind of an unintentional signal. It's like, okay, he hasn't prepared for this.
Right. Yeah. We
and so like when I act like that, you know exactly what's up.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you have that issue, do your best to just believe in yourself and trust your players, unless they're assholes, in which case, new players, please.
Figure out the problem and work it out.
Yeah. And then really just asking for a moment is really all you need to do.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Actually, you know what? You know what was really funny? Earlier today, Seth Skurkowski put out a new video, and it was a RPG war story called Bug? What Bug? It's really funny. And basically, long story short, two guys walk up to encounter in a corporate skyscraper.
Sure.
And they need to place a bug on the counter.
Okay.
And when you're at like a reception desk, there's obviously like a little overhang on the other side of the desk where on your side. So you just like stick it up underneath there. Like the same way you would do with like a piece of gum if you're an asshole in a restaurant.
Right. Yes.
And he rolled to place the bug. He rolled a fumble, and he rolled the maximum amount of shit for the fumble. And so what he did, the character, he described it as, okay, you take your bug and you kind of like, you hold it in your hand and you're kind of working with the antennas. This is all happening right in front of everybody, by the way.
Of course.
You take you take the bug, put it in your hand, and you're working with the antennas, and then you take it and you carefully lean over the counter right in front of the woman and stick it right in the corner, right in front of her. And you're like, it's good. It's that really, really fucking funny moment where all it takes is just like a moment just to think about, oh, Jesus, you fucked up real bad. How stupid should this be? How
is this gonna, absolutely. How am I gonna narrate this?
And so just taking a moment to figure out how you want to say things is very, very important.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely.
People want the sense of mortal dread, but they want it to be cool mortal dread. I'm gonna have to type this up and throw it up on the screen or something.
Oh, okay. 1, lose an eye.
You know.
Major upper body wound, disadvantage on attack rolls, unconsciousness in 3 rounds. Yee! Movement halved, unconsciousness, yeah. Okay, so that's for taking half of your health in 1 hit. That unconsciousness, ouch.
Well, to be fair, if you get something like that, I can see it, right?
It makes sense. I hope that you can kind of negate that with healing.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Broken ribs. Oof.
Broken bone,
ouch.
Yeah.
Internal injury. Adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that there's a good one.
Yeah, I can imagine, like...
Oh, and 3 levels of exhaustion! Woo!
Yeah. It's slightly good, right? Like, it's...
Well, in the moment,
Because this is the failure stuff, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that it wouldn't be good forever, but...
Yeah, it's interesting because this is the good one down there, the adrenaline rush, makes me think of the system in 7th Sea. Because every time you take 4 injuries, you get a mortal injury or whatever, or dramatic injury or something. And the first one is actually a benefit for you.
Oh,
and then, so it's like, it's the thing where it's like, oh my god, finally a real opponent. I need to actually use my real power. That kind of thing.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And then after that, after the second one, it's good for the enemy.
Okay.
Because now you're actually being injured and weakened. And then the last one, it's the third one, it's a benefit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh my god, I have to pull out everything I've got here.
Sure.
And then the fourth one, then you're down.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah. So that's an interesting, it's a really weird and interesting system.
Yeah.
Something for you. So as it nears the DC, the injuries tend to be less severe, because if they do roll a 1, oh boy! If they get an 11, a 12, or a 13, the character suffers a broken bone. A lot of issues come up where people are like, right, but what if it was like a fireball? That's not a thing where you like break your bone. So you just gotta work into the narrative. They're blasted back by the fireball, they trip over a rock, they land badly on their shoulder, they shatter their collarbone. I do try to
make fuck that! I broke my collarbone once, it sucks!
Yeah, I had a friend who broke his collarbone. This is bad stuff. Bad stuff.
Hate that shit.
Yeah.
Descriptions as possible so that you can make them fit the scenario, but they do have some distinction between them to explain the mechanical effects. So with a broken bone, the player at the beginning of their turn has to make DC 12 Constitution saves to either move at full speed or to attack without disadvantage, and that's depending on where you place the wound. So that's up to you as a DM. If you decide that they've fallen and they've shattered their collarbone, like I said, then that's more likely to give them a disadvantage to their attacks than it is to halve their movement, you see? And do remember that they only get halved movement or disadvantage on attacks if they fail that Constitution save, that extra save. So like they can overcome their wounds temporarily in order to fight, but the pain's gonna come in waves and potentially overwhelm them, which is reflected as well in if they reach 3 fails on these DC 12 Constitution saves, then they fall unconscious. So it places a dramatic risk on the player throughout the rest of the battle without necessarily taking them out of it.
I very much appreciate that, because it's definitely more like this, having this be something that you can implement in a turn order instead of like what I would be doing, which would be after the person goes down, right? Having this be a thing that can happen when you get hit for half your health and then fail the thing, but you still have to deal with it, right? In the fight, it makes it so that it's significant, but it doesn't make it entirely debilitating, because Constitution rolls are very easy to overcome for most characters.
Yeah, as long as you've put like anything into Constitution.
Yeah, it's especially with it being a 12, like that's very, very easy. Most things can get past a 12 DC anything, right? Quite easily.
Really.
And it does kind of represent those times of you push through the pain, but now at this moment, oh god, you can feel it, right? Having that adrenaline come through, but then be lost, but then go through again, like because you're in a life and death situation. It's definitely definitely something that works, I think, for me at least.
Yeah, no, I like the system.
Mm-hmm.
Then 8 and 9, and the results are fairly similar, but this time it's an internal injury. So this one's more up in their organs where things are really,
It's an internal injury as opposed to the bones that are external.
Ooh,
I know. I know there's more organs.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
important. Once again, the player has to make a DC 12 Constitution save at the beginning of every turn in order to move at full speed and to attack without disadvantage. So this time the movement and the attack are tied in together. And again, if the saves reach 3 fails, they fall unconscious. Down the lower end of this table, the ranges get smaller as it goes down. So a 6 or a 7, broken ribs, must make a DC 12 Constitution save at the beginning of each turn to move at full speed and attack without disadvantage. And this character, who had a total result of 6 or 7, will fall unconscious after 3 rounds. So the player still gets 3 rounds in which to do stuff and to try to help the battle, but over time, the energy spent on it is just gonna wear them down. The idea with the broken ribs is almost that one of them has punctured your lung, so you can keep going, but only for so long before your body just gives out. 4 or 5 is a major leg wound.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as we get to the lower and lower failure rolls, right? Yeah, it makes sense that after a little while that you're going to not be able to do the things. Because like if I were to take, you can just imagine anyone takes an injury that's severe enough, they're not going to be standing for very long. Unless they're really good, I guess,
Or they have a severe adrenaline rush.
Yeah, but even so, after that adrenaline rush fades, you're going down. The body wants to stop.
My only thing is just I understand here's the thing. I both understand and like the 3-round thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel it's honestly more just a problem with the system itself. Is just that 18 seconds and then you fall completely unconscious.
Right.
I don't know about that. Just because, again, it's just the system.
Yeah, it is definitely like it makes more sense if you think of it like as full combat rounds instead of thinking it as the actual seconds that it takes place, because D&D's weird with its whole. It's 6 seconds for a round, whereas like in older editions it was like each round is like a minute or 10 minutes or something.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and
that would have made more sense to me, because like after 3 minutes I would say, I don't know about unconsciousness though. I would say it's for certain incapacitated.
Yes.
You're not doing any more fighting. But I don't know about unconscious.
I would say it depends on the severity of the wound, right? Because blood is being lost in an internal injury.
It's true.
You're gonna bone. You're losing blood.
Bone. You're losing blood. Internal injury. You're losing blood.
I would say that
most
of these you're losing blood, and so like. If I go and open this up in another tab, the actual table.
You're going back to the actual table?
Yeah. Broken bone, internal injury, broken ribs, lower body wound, upper body wound, lose an eye. Those are the things. And like, you're losing blood. You're probably losing a lot of. One, you got hit for half your HP.
That's true. That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the whole first thing. And then if you fail the Constitution save, this is when you get these rolls, right? Or you don't get the rolls, you get whatever it is. Like if you got the 1 on your Constitution save, then you lost your eye, or if you got a 14, you got that adrenaline rush. So like it makes sense, and I'm totally fine with it. But you're right. Like thinking about it realistically, maybe
it's just the unconsciousness thing. I wish that there was another status effect. Is there? Is incapacitated a thing?
Incapacitated is a thing, I thought. Let me go look at status.
Because that's something that's honestly something that's always bothered me about the death system and like being dangerously wounded, severely wounded.
Yep.
It's just that you're awake and then you're asleep. I wish that there was a middle ground between awake, but you're bedridden. You can't. You like your body is so fucked you can't do anything, but you are still awake.
Right, and yeah, incapacitated is a condition. It's can't take actions or reactions. You can still move and stuff, and honestly,
wait a minute. You can't take actions. What about so you can still move? Isn't that technically a move action?
Moving is different than an action. I thought. Let me. I might be wrong about that. It might be considered an action. I would say you couldn't. Right?
Yeah, that's how I would roll incapacitated. You're incapacitated. You can't do anything.
Yeah, I might be just my brain might not be working correctly, thinking like, oh, move action, that's not a thing. But no, I'm pretty sure you're right.
I don't know.
Pretty sure
it depends on how they word it, really.
Yeah, no, that's true. Let me find actions. Nope. Maybe before that, movement and position. On your turn, you can move a distance to your speed. You can use as much or as little speed as you like. Your movement can include jump. It doesn't say that it's an action.
Yeah, an incapacitated can't take actions or reactions.
That's it.
A paralyzed creature is incapacitated. See the condition and can't move or speak. Okay, so paralyzed.
Right, paralyzed actually
is a different thing.
Yeah, it says
it literally can't move.
It literally says and can't move or speak. Yeah. So that isn't included in regular incapacitation.
So incapacitated means that you can still move. I would just rule that incapacitated means you can't do anything.
Yeah, it's definitely. I remember there being back in 3.5 there was Die Hard, I think is the feat, which is gotten off of endurance. And it makes it so that if you go down to negative anything, like negative 1 to 9, so you're not outright killed, you are still able to move or attack, right? You would be in this weird pseudo state of, I can still fight, but I'm fucking dying. Mm-hmm. There was something like that, and I would say that having a condition that is just something like you just are physically unable to do anything else, right? Yeah. Incapacitated is the word, but it isn't represented like that.
To mean, really.
Yeah, it isn't represented like that in this, which is weird now that we're looking at it.
Yeah, I would think that the best one for like the best CC basically would be petrified.
Yeah, exactly. Or paralyzed or whatever. Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, that's so in this case I would rule that incapacitated, at least in my game, if I was running a game and this happened, I would just say that incapacitated means you can't move as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a huge stretch because that is my understanding of the word incapacitated.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just my thing. Again, getting back to this, I mean, I just don't like in the death system. I don't like how it's your only real thing is unconscious and
there's nothing else
awake and able to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But that's always how D&D has been, really. Yeah. Unfortunately. But I agree. If they had some sort of middle ground, I feel like that would be interesting.
Yeah. Anyway.
There is no constitution save for a 4 or a 5. This character does take half movement and they will be unconscious in 3 rounds. With a total of a 2 or a 3, they take a major arm or torso wound, and with no constitution save, they take disadvantage on their attack rolls and they will fall unconscious in 3 rounds. Then, we get the extremes. The 1 and the 14. So a 14 is nearly a save. You nearly made it without taking this massive injury. With a 14, you get an adrenaline rush. This was something I picked up off Reddit and tweaked. So this character regains 1 hit die plus their constitution modifier of temporary hit points, as well as a dash bonus for 3 rounds. So they get this huge buff to their stuff for 3 rounds, but then when the rush wears off, they take 3 levels of exhaustion. So it's like rewarding the player for nearly getting out of it unscathed, but actually they, in the end, still have this tank. And a 1.
Yeah, no, it seems like it makes perfect sense.
Yes, because again, I have an example. I'm sorry to be the long-winded one, but I guess since Aiden's not here, it's my job to talk people's ears off. I was playing Doom.
Okay. Yes.
I was playing Doom 2016, and I started from level 1. Like before I had ever played or watched any of it, I started on Nightmare, which is the hardest difficulty aside from the Iron Man mode, where you die, you reset the whole fucking game because fuck that. I was playing Nightmare, and later on in the game, you're in this like facility, and there's like ice and shit everywhere.
Yeah.
You're down in the planet or something. I forget. And there's Doom is basically a long series of fucking hallways and then big arenas, and that's pretty much it.
That's all it needs.
Yep. I was at one of the later areas, and there was an arena. And again, Nightmare mode. Mm-hmm. I jumped in there. I had an adrenaline rush, and I beat it first try.
Nice.
Without ever having seen it or knowing the layout or anything. Mm-hmm. Beat it first try. Yep. That was the only time that I jumped into arena, beat it first try. Only time. Was when I had that adrenaline rush. I was basically Ultra Instinct right then.
Yeah.
It was fucking great. And when I was done, I fucking saved, paused, walked away, and had the biggest fucking crash ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, I was dead for like fucking an hour. It was bad, but it felt real fucking good.
Yeah.
Real good.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah.
Fucking like mancubuses everywhere and fucking Hell Knights, beat the shit out of them, fucking ripped and teared.
Rip and tear.
It was good. But that adrenaline rush shit is real.
Oh, yeah.
Really
oh,
real.
God, there's so
Even
many
if
examples.
it's mental.
Yeah.
And actually, I actually have another one.
Oh.
And this one relates more, because that one's a mental adrenaline rush. This one was actually physical.
Okay.
Long time ago, before I moved to where I live now. We would, I used to be involved, me, my dad, and my brother used to be involved in Boy Scouts, and we did lots of camping and shit.
Okay, yep.
And one of the things that Boy Scouts do to raise money for their endeavors is to sell firewood in the colder months.
Oh.
And we would, I don't remember how we actually got it. Like the raw wood before we would turn it into like usable firewood.
Right.
But we would often have like piles of firewood and like literal just like cross sections of trees.
Oh,
like big round circles of log. And log. And there was some in the backyard, and I was just fucking around, being a stupid kid, and I was standing on top of one as it was on its side. So basically standing on top of a giant tire on its round edge.
Woo!
And I was balancing, of course, because I'm stupid.
Yeah.
This was back when I was like fucking 13 or 12 or something.
Yeah.
And that's actually the age makes it more impressive. Fell off, caught myself on my right wrist, broke it in 2 places. Not fun. Yeah. And it hurt and it throbbed for a while. Like it was really sharp when I first landed on it.
Right.
And after that, it kind of dulled. And I was just holding it like gingerly and holding it in a good position. And I was able to, and again, as like a 12-year-old, I did not cry or really overreact in any way for like 15 minutes.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I was just sitting there holding it, making sure it was in a good place and just kind of digesting what had happened and wondering, is it broken? I legitimately couldn't tell because the pain was so dulled.
Yeah.
And then once the adrenaline rush ran out, that's when it started to hurt more and more and more until I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm like, hey, I think I probably broke my wrist.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's how powerful adrenaline can be.
Oh yeah, it's
crazy.
Like there are stories of the stories of the mothers who literally move cars to save their children. Like, adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
It really is,
man.
If you've ever had an adrenaline rush, like a real adrenaline rush, you can honestly understand how people might get addicted to it.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Crazy.
Literal adrenaline junkies are a thing for a reason.
Yes.
Anyway.
A natural 1 with no modifiers on this particular major injury, mortal wound, constitution save, is to lose an eye and fall unconscious. Because let's be real, everyone wants to lose an eye. They don't have the stat tanks that come with that usually, but everyone wants to lose an eye. A character with an eye patch? Too cool. Come on.
You can always just wear an eye patch, though. You don't have to lose an eye.
But dude, then you literally can't function as well.
Yeah.
You're half blind.
There's...
This is the way you get past that, though. You wear 2 eye patches.
Hell yeah. And then you fucking, you lift one up one day, and then you close that one, then you, lift the other one up one day, you fucking, get people confused. Which eye are you missing?
I love the idea of, the blind monk who has blind sense and always wears something around his eyes, but then one day he takes that off and you just realize he can see, and you're just like, what the fuck? And he's just like, shut up, dude.
Yeah, that actually kind of reminds me of in Naruto when fucking Lee takes the weights off.
Oh, sure.
It's like that, so I was like, oh man, I'm blind and I fight so well. It's like, okay, time to fucking pull out the real guns.
Right.
I can see. You're dead now.
These mortal wounds, major injuries work in battle. After battle, all wounds require extended recovery and may leave permanent markers or scars. So now I personally wouldn't actually give any permanent disadvantages to the player character for receiving a mortal wound. Because I don't think major injuries are meant to be about punishing the players, they're meant to be about the sensation of risk and the dramatic feeling of nearly dying.
So
I think it depends on the injury, and as long as you ask your player,
if they're
because I think some people Aiden was all for it when he lost his ear to that ice dragon or a white dragon. White dragon.
I don't know.
Wait, no, you weren't there.
I wasn't there for that. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. We had our first edition campaign,
right? And
we went up on top of a mountain, and there was a cave there. We went in, and there was a barricade of some sort. I don't barely remember.
Sure. And
there was an ice dragon or a white dragon. Jesus.
Yeah.
There's a white dragon in there, and the muscle wizard opens the door, and basically what happens, I believe Brogan rolled enough damage to outright kill him.
Okay, yeah.
So what he did was, instead of outright killing him, he pulled him aside. He's like, hey, I don't really want to instantly kill you right now, because all you did was open a door and you had no chance to really avoid it perfectly.
Yeah.
Would it be okay if you took so-and-so amount of damage? I don't know how much damage he took, but you got a permanent injury from it. It's like, oh, okay. So what he did was he froze his right ear. Yeah. And so he fucked up his perception checks that had to do with hearing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it depends. It really just depends.
Yeah, I with the tables that I used for losing certain limbs or eyes or whatever, or getting the scarring on the face, it totally depends, and you can make it fit situations, and as long as you have the ability to and I remember when we were talking about this a long while ago, when we were saying you can have them lose stuff as long as you have the ability for them to fix it at some point, right?
Yeah.
If they don't want to keep it as a thing, right? And for this table, all of the wounds that it says here are sustained in this matter require extended recovery through non-magical means and are likely to leave permanent markers or scars, right? And first off, how does magic not work on them is my question, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, especially with losing an eye, regeneration is a spell.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. That's the one I was looking for.
Yeah, regeneration is a good spell for when you lose limbs. But obviously you're not going to be at that point if you're level 3. you could find somebody who could do that for you for a favor or service or something, right? But you're gonna have a penalty when you lose an eye, and just because you want it to feel like a risk, taking the risk out of it though makes it feel like less of a risk, doesn't it? Because
kinda.
Because when it doesn't have any lasting consequences at all, right? Like, then what's the point?
Yeah, then it doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah,
it only matters for the combat.
Exactly. It only mattered for this one thing, and then I guess the argument could be made, right? If you don't do the recovery stuff, then it would be a problem. You'd get like infection, or bunch of things could happen. But again, I would then posit, why does healing not work like magical healing?
Because that's kind of a thing.
That's kind of
like a big deal.
The big thing
in indie worlds is that magical healing is kind of really good.
And if your answer to that is just it doesn't, I'm just not going to let that be a thing for these just so that you can have this, then I go, okay, why even have them?
Yeah, that's why I would say talk with your players, ask them if they're okay with that.
Exactly.
If they're not okay with it, fine.
Sure.
Because I can understand, you fucking, something happens. Maybe you don't want a big ugly scar on the face of your like beautiful, charismatic female elf bard.
Sure.
That's fine. But for a fighter, he might be all for that. It's like, oh yeah, fucking cool. And there was a guy that I think I might have told this story before. There's a guy that I work with who he has the Skaven in his world, his D&D
right.
world.
Yeah.
And they got attacked essentially by a Death Master, one of the guys that can triple wield.
Yep.
And they actually managed to beat the Death Master, but before they killed him, he did a triple slash on the guy's back in the mark of in the Skaven mark, that upside down triangle thing.
Yes, yeah.
And that got left as a scar.
Yep.
And it was the way of that Death Master to mark every target that he killed in that way. So that way it's like, oh man, word is spreading that Death Master Snitch is like fucking up people,
Yeah.
And so he got that scar. First round, it was a sneak attack. He nearly died. But then they beat him, and he kept that scar. It's like, oh, man, you're like the only survivor of Deathmaster Snix's attacks.
Yeah.
And so, like...
Well, see, even that is less of a injury thing. That it's just a...
Yeah, that's more just a badge.
Yeah, it is. It is a scar. It's a battle scar, and that's something that isn't going to... I mean, it will affect things, right? Because you can show it off to people, and people will be impressed.
Yeah.
But it's not...
I guess we're talking more negative, permanent injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so... Yeah, like, and again, this is just stemming from her saying that she doesn't usually give them permanent negatives, and I'm just over here going, how does losing an eye, how, if that is the case, I assume that's the only one that you would, right?
I would hope.
I would assume, but like, even so, like, with broken ribs, it depends on how long that's going to take, right? Because all of these things require extended recovery, as is stated. So however long that is for your players, or for your DM to decide, that's going to be a lasting thing until it's better, right?
Yeah, and like, we'll go with the example that she went with even for the broken ribs, is that she assumes that if you have the broken ribs on this table, it's punctured a lung.
Yeah.
That's gonna, like, when you heal from that, your lung is never gonna be the same.
No, exactly.
Ever. You'll probably be short of breath, you'll have a lower constitution score, and probably have taken penalties on, like, acrobatics, athletics, and other things that require, like, cardio, and, like, heavy breathing and shit.
And, again, I guess the counter argument, the Satan's hype man would be like, hey, how much realism do you want in your game, right?
Yeah.
Like that, and also, I I guess
that's a common theme with us, Jesus.
I mean, it is important to say, you know, because like I agree that if this is the way that you want to do it, then go for it. If you're having fun with it, yeah. And if you don't want to put that immediate thing, if you don't want to put a consequence tied to it, then that's fine. It's just like for me, I'm over here going, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
You could definitely, and yes, it could maybe hinder the players more, or slow the game down a little bit somehow, right? Because they have to fix it. But that's a part of it, right?
Yeah, that can
to me,
become
at
a part of
least.
the story.
Yeah, you can have it be that they recover from it in such a way that it does hinder them, but they try to compensate for that by doing different tactics. Like they change how they do it. Like I'll pull a Game of Thrones. Why not? Fuck it. Okay. Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones loses his sword hand. He's the best sword fighter in the kingdom. He loses his sword hand. He can't fucking fight. What he does is he learns how to use his other hand. He starts training. And, like, yes, this is a thing where it takes him a long time to figure it out, and he's definitely not as good as he was before, I think.
Yeah.
But he gets to be very good with it because he already knows how to use a sword. And so he's just trying to familiarize himself with his other hand. That's a whole arc.
Yeah,
right?
A whole character arc.
Yeah, it's a whole character arc that you can have with that, and I feel like that's something that you don't get the opportunity to do if you just completely don't give them a thing. Then again, this also goes to talking with your player and making sure that they're okay with the injury to see if they want to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those things where you can have it be a suggestion of like, well, maybe we could do an arc of like you trying to figure out what to do with this thing, and if you can't find a way that makes you feel like it was worthwhile, we can try to figure out a way for your character to find out how to fix it, right? Get his hand back, something.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe some devil comes up and is like, hey, man, you know your hand? You want that shit back?
I can, yeah, right? Lots of gun hands. I can just imagine Mez walking up just constantly.
Hey, hey, you wanna?
I got you. I saw a hand fall from the sky. Is that yours?
That your hand? I can put that on for you. This costs you
a little bit of ink.
Soul, maybe just some servitude. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit of everlasting soul.
But like, legitimately, I feel like having that kind of consequence be a thing is important, at least for something like an injury.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as they're okay with it. As long as you've established that this can be a thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, continuing.
We don't actually, like, there's a certain place for simulation in D&D, and there's a certain place for just cool storytelling, you know? And I think
that can be both.
The simulation half of major injuries should exist in the battle in which they are sustained, and the rest of it should be allowed to be cinematic storytelling.
For you.
Well, I can't. There can be injuries in cinematic storytelling. Hey, Alejo.
Hi.
You ever seen Star Wars?
I've seen Star Wars.
You remember that time when Luke got his hand yeeted off?
No.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it only really did a thing in the fight.
It's only really a pivotal moment in that fight where then he's told that Darth Vader's his father, you know, not memorable at all.
You remember the Vastly sequel prequels?
Oh, yeah, Vastly sequel prequels, yes.
Oh,
okay.
Vastly superior prequels.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Okay. Vastly sequel prequels.
Yep.
I mean, they were sequel prequels, but hey.
They were sequel prequels, it's true.
Remember that time Darth Maul got cut in half in that fight? I do. And then remember, like, after the fight was over, he was back and he was fine?
What? Oh. Yeah,
there's totally room to have injuries be a part of your story.
Yeah, I would say so, and like I understand what you mean with it being like, but still, I don't agree personally.
Yeah, like that, like injuries can be a story all their own. I mean, there's there is something to be said about someone losing something, a piece of them that's important, and they have to go and do something shady, or they have to give up another part of themselves to get it back.
Or hell, they even turn to something that they never would have turned to before, like worshiping a god, right? Like,
yeah, it's like, hey, I'll worship you if you give me your hand, if you give me my hand back,
right? But
and then like it comes back when there's like a big mark on it or something that
right,
like, denotes
something,
the god or something.
Or they have to do a quest for that god in order to prove themselves to it, and like something, like any kind of thing, and they want this back that much. Or maybe they just don't care at all, and they try to compensate by, I don't know, figuring out just something else that they can do with it. Or the character, I mean, maybe, and not always going to happen because maybe you really like the character, but maybe you retire the character.
Yeah, you know? It could also, absolutely.
And like,
there's nothing wrong with a fighter going out, losing his ability to fight, and like, I took an arrow in the knee, and now I'm a city guard.
Right, exactly. And then they take on some other form of work, and then they're an NPC in the world that you can interact with and go back to, and maybe the party even tries to figure out a way to help them while they're just in the town.
Hell
right?
Yeah.
And you can bring them back into the story while the player plays a different character for a little while, but then once they figure out how to get the arm or the leg or the shoulder or the eye, like whatever, once they figure out how to get it back, then they just come back in and they're fighting fit.
And then now I want to have an arc where a character loses a limb or something, and then you go find an artificer. It's like, hey, make me a fucking awesome metal arm.
Right, yeah.
And be like fucking Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, totally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you can do something like that, absolutely. And like, and again,
the flesh is weak.
Yeah, the flesh is weak. It only betrays. We all know this.
Yes.
But and again, this is all just from our perspective, obviously. Like, this is something that we would find much more interesting but if this isn't something that you would want to do, then fine. We're just trying to offer some
it's
arguments
okay to be wrong.
in favor.
It's okay to be wrong.
We're just trying to argue in favor of how we view it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing against. Anyway.
Yeah, no.
So after the battle suggests that these are injuries that you shouldn't heal with magic. You could try, but it would do things like if you try to heal a broken bone with a healing spell or with potion, then that bone is going to fuse together wrong. It's going to set wrong. It's going to be a little bit like in the Chamber of Secrets when Lockhart tries to fix Harry's broken bone, but his bone just goes away. I'm making a lot of Harry Potter references today. I'm down with it. And especially if you keep in mind...
That was the only one I noticed.
Yeah, that's the only one I figured out. So if that's how you explain it, then okay. My question then becomes, if your cleric is a cleric worth their salt, they know a little bit about medicine. They know a little bit about setting a bone.
I imagine before you learn healing magic, they probably teach you how to do, like, battlefield.
Yeah, like basic actual injury care. Like, becoming a doctor might not be the step, but is it wrong to assume that when you are a cleric... I guess this could be solved if your cleric has the proficiency in medicine or not. If they do, then they studied it. If they didn't, then they are familiar enough to try to help, but they don't know the exact way to do it, right?
Yeah.
In that case, then I'm like, yeah, okay, fair enough. Then they'll fuck it up somehow, right? Yeah. And then I'm okay with it. But I feel like let's have that be the thing. And even so, then you have other party members who might also be proficient in medicine. Who might themselves know you set the bone and then you can do any of your magical bullshit. Right? Like, we're going to start with like traditional medicine and then whatever you want to do with your magical healy touch, who cares?
And then I feel like I hope that the whole time she's been implying that if you take one of these big injuries, it's going to take a lot of bed rest to heal. But then she says that if you try to use magic to heal it, the bone will fuse, like it will just instantly fuse.
Right.
I sure hope that the bed rest implies that the bone is going to be reset at some point.
Yeah. That's the whole through non-magical means recovery thing.
Okay, yeah. Because I was just gonna say, if the magic is gonna fuse the bone wrong, how does laying in bed fuse the bone right? But yeah,
that's fair,
if it's gonna be reset as a part of it, then that's fine.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
A rib?
It's just very carefully. So. Yeah, it's this is why I have an issue with it, just with the fact of usually, and I understand the reference to Harry Potter is the example that you use, and this is how it works for your world, and I'm fine with that if that's how it works for your world. But to me, magic usually, I mean, when you are skilled enough to
cast magic in the first place,
and that's not even thinking about it being divine magic, right? Like, magic of the gods. Quite literally, you have a bit of divinity in you, and that shit is not, usually not, not inert, but it is sentient in a way, right?
Yeah, it kind of knows the blueprint of a human body.
I would otherwise cure wounds and all that shit. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, that wouldn't how would it close a wound?
Exactly.
How would it stop blood flow? How
is that all not?
How would
really
cure
fucked?
Disease not just kill a person because we are the real disease?
Exactly.
How would cure disease know what cells to nuke?
Right, because you are channeling the god's power through you, and I assume then if you say it's not the god, it's the person channeling it through you, then the person better know a little bit about this. Because otherwise, how are they doing it so well? And unless you then argue, okay, well, then my all of my healing that I've done has horribly scarred this guy. And then I'm like, oh fuck, that sucks.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like it becomes this kind of pitfall that you just keep falling down further and further and further, just trying to think about it and justify it. And I understand you can just not, but that's not how our brains work on this show. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's not.
Don't know if
really,
you've noticed by this point. It's episode 33, and hey, we think too much. That's what we do.
Yeah, we do.
So I don't know. It's just again, if you just want it to work this way and you just want it to be that way, I understand, and I can suspend my disbelief, right? But as looking out from the inside and thinking about how I would implement it, man, it doesn't make sense at all. Right?
Yeah.
That the loss of hit isn't necessarily all injuries, then it makes it really kind of easy to hand wave and describe away the reason that magic can't heal this thing and you need to use traditional human medicine. And
okay,
it's not that easy to hand wave it away, though.
Yeah, it's
really not.
You're bringing up the point of hit points not representing just injuries, and I understand that that's something we've gone into before. But it is a big part of it, I would say. Especially if you take half your health.
Yeah.
So, literally half of your health to make this happen. That is
clearly it's a little related.
That is quite literally tied to it.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a certain degree of stamina that is in play when you heal somebody, because obviously a point of damage is nebulous in how much actual damage it does to the body. We've gone over blah blah blah. But still, I don't know, half of your health that represents you taking this brutal injury, and the fact that you can literally with one spell heal all of your health or more or less, right?
Why would the injury be left behind?
Yes, exactly. Why would it be different? it's just, it doesn't make sense to my brain. And it might be that I'm just missing something. And please, if you're out there and you can make more sense of it, please comment below with your argument, or send us an email or whatever. I would love to know.
Send us a letter.
Send us a letter into the mail to the internet at the internet.
One internet drive. And here's the thing. I kind of want to preface that I do actually like this system.
Oh yeah, same.
I like the system of you take a big fucking hit and you get an injury.
Yeah.
I like this system. It's a very cool system.
I've played with a similar system before, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's a great way to implement injuries and stuff. I just like it more. I guess we just like a more visceral, real game. Yeah. Where everything has to have some degree of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you start having these little, I wouldn't even call them leaps of like, I don't even know. I was gonna say like leaps of logic, but that doesn't apply.
No,
you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, because like, and I wouldn't even say that it's that we want more of a realistic thing. It's more that we just want it to be consistent.
Yes, exactly. So
we want it to make sense entirely. Like,
because that's when it starts falling apart,
right?
If it doesn't.
Because it's inconsistent when you take half of your health in damage for this injury to happen, and then if you are able to heal all of that back, it doesn't heal this injury.
Heal the injury,
right?
Yeah. So why are the two mutant? Why are HP and injuries linked and then not?
Yeah,
linked?
Exactly. It's
there's
something
that,
hard to grasp.
The disconnect.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and so again, I like the system. And if this works in your game, that's great. It's just, it's not really for our game, even though we're playing in a game where we're fucking anime characters. But hey, everything has still been consistently anime.
It's true. It has been consistent. So, at least I'm pretty sure.
It's been enough,
Yes.
I haven't had any complaints yet, right?
No,
and that means I'm not railroading you.
I don't know, I'd probably put some arbitrary number of long rests that they have to take before they can adequately heal that injury.
It's not arbitrary, though, in that case.
It wouldn't need to be arbitrary.
It's not the right word, I don't think. Let me look at arbitrary.
Well, it's just a selection based upon
the severity, yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be arbitrary.
Yeah, arbitrary is based on random choice or a personal whim. I guess it would be a personal whim in a way, but I don't think so, because then you've said it. I don't think it's arbitrary after you said it.
Yeah, because then, it would make... If I was doing this, I could very, very easily say, we'll say you broke a rib. Okay. Bed rest, you've reset the bone. Yeah. We'll say that it takes a total of 4. How does that sound to you?
4?
Yeah, what do you think?
Wait, for what?
Long rests.
Oh! Okay. Then
How does that sound to you? You think it needs to be more and think it needs to be less?
I'm alright with 4. Yeah, 4's fine.
That's how you do it. You just be like, this sounds fine to me. Yeah, and exactly. then when you have someone else be like, oh shit, I lost my eye. Okay, after 10 long rests, your eye's back. How about that?
Then we go, like that. Wait a minute.
It's like, is that cool with you?
Yeah, the fact that your eye come back. Yeah, I'm cool with it, but also like, how?
Yeah, right?
No,
it's
exactly.
A long rest. And long rests are more effective at healing injuries than magic.
And yeah. It's, oh god, raw, you're right, it's true. Anyway,
yeah, right.
But like, so yeah, the use of arbitrary is wrong because you've set a standard then that I would hope would maintain, like people would have that consistency and expect that consistency.
Yeah, because you're establishing something.
Yeah, you are establishing it. So then it's time for you to always have that, and I hope you make a note or somebody else makes a note, and then when somebody goes, "Oh, I got a broken rib," and you go, "It'd take you like 6." And then they go,
but it was 4. But it's a really broken rib.
Right, exactly. Like, you do have that ability to go, oh, fuck, yeah, it's actually worse, but then it doesn't make sense with your table, right?
Yeah,
like,
right. Then you have a table problem.
Right. And then you go and look at it and you go, how do I get worse broken ribs when I can only get it via these two things? Did I get it on a 6 or did I get it on a 7? Right? Like,
the carrots are sweet.
To be fair, if you did,
I know.
if you did get one and then you got healed up to full and then you got another, then I would be like, yeah, okay, it'll take longer. That's fair.
Yeah, because that way it's a little more fucked up. It's kind of like the wounded thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that it would make sense. But if you are arbitrary about it, like legitimately arbitrary about it, then I would be like, why?
And see, here's the thing that's funny.
Yeah.
You can be arbitrary about it and kind of sort of get away with it if you just make it a dice roll. Kinda. Again.
Even so, I would argue.
Yeah, even so. I know, it doesn't really work.
No.
But you can do it that way. It wouldn't work, but you could.
Yep.
Because then you'd have people with a lost eye get like 1 week, oh, hey, my eye's back. And then you have people with like, they get like a fucking scrape on their arm. It's like, oh, it's going to take like 6 weeks to heal.
Yeah.
Why does it take 6 weeks? It was a necrotic weapon.
Looks like it seems to be spreading.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no. It's, so arbitrary, not right.
Using magic. So no, like, permanent loss to hit points or anything like that. They've already taken their beating for the injury. Fair. And they're already going to carry through the dramatic narrative implications of that major wound and the scar that it wrought through.
But okay, so...
I would be okay with a loss of hit points, depending on the injury.
I mean, it depends, right?
If you fucking cave in my chest, and like my fucking lungs and heart and like something else is like shot, but I barely pull through it, and then I start to heal up, I would be okay with taking less hit with
just a little bit. But like even so, with this dramatic consequence that she keeps describing,
it's not much drama. There's not much drama if nothing comes of it.
Exactly. The drama is supposed to be from the consequence.
But if there's no consequence,
when there's no
consequence,
there's no drama. Exactly. I don't see. I guess in the moment in the battle, yes, you have a consequence. But then after that, it's just. I guess it's just a story at that point. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
It is a story of your battle scar, but even so, like, the fact that it did nothing to you after the fact, it's just, it boggles my mind to think that if I were to get shot in the shoulder, like, it's not fatal, but it's definitely gonna fucking hurt. And then afterwards, I probably have a little bit more pain in my shoulder when I'm moving it, right?
And it's weaker.
And it's weaker, exactly. Like, there's less muscle there because it died.
Yeah,
and it's gone.
It died and then got remade, but the new muscle isn't as strong.
Exactly. So, like, I mean,
there's probably a fucking hole in your shoulder blade.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many things, and unless, like, somebody goes in and fills it, I don't know how it works with surgery these days.
Play-Doh.
Yeah, they put Play-Doh. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even so, and then I would go, like, hey, magical healing, does that not make the bone grow back? Right?
I guess not.
There's so many questions that I have now, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
Again, it's a good video!
It's a good video!
It's a good video!
But, like,
it's a good system, I like it!
And I'm glad you're making me ask all these questions about it, because now I'm thinking more about how I will run things. I very much appreciate that. And I'm glad this works for you.
Yes.
Anyway.
It's a good
good video. You don't need to remind them with a mechanical deficiency. I'm editing the video now, and it's just occurred to me that I didn't talk about the added threat of death, I guess, in terms of when you fall unconscious. I suppose it would go into the natural 5th edition mechanic of your rolling death saves now. And so given the idea that I've introduced that these are wounds that shouldn't be healed by magic, they should take longer to heal, they should be healed through, very human means, through medicine checks, I'm suddenly realizing what a risk that could seem, because they're over there, they're on the ground, unconscious, dying, rolling death saving throws, and you can't use your spells to heal them. I would quite simply say that you can stabilize them with a medicine check, which I think I think that's just how the rules work anyway.
Yep.
I'd maybe ditch the medicine kit. I don't even remember how the medicine kit
Healer's
works.
kit.
Just let people make a
healer's
medicine
kit.
check. They put points into that skill, let them do it, let them stabilize their friend. Or if they're really in a pinch, they can of course use magic that will stabilize the person on the ground. Possibly even bring them back to consciousness if you rule it that way. But then keep in mind that now they've got this weird, like a broken arm that's healed wrong. So that could be just potentially another risk that you have.
Okay, so in that sense, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I guess.
In which sense?
In the sense of, like, in the moment, you don't have the time to set it, right?
Yes.
In the moment, if you don't have the time to set it, then yeah, it could heal weirdly. But again, I wonder
But
about...
it's the same thing with the magic thing that
Yes,
we keep
exactly.
going on about.
We keep going on about the magic thing. So we've already said our piece about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my thing is that, like, you kind of need a healer's kit to be good at it.
Yeah,
Because, like, that contains, like, splints and gauze
That's
and,
true.
like, other tools and things, like scalpels. And,
like, to be fair as well, you can scavenge some of those things.
It's
right?
true, but
And you
in the
can
heat
make
of the
some those
moment...
things. And in the heat of
might
the
not-
yeah, in the heat of the moment, you might not.
And also, good fucking luck finding sterile twigs to suture someone up with.
Right, yeah.
Like, fucking toothpicks? What?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, it's gonna be... Yeah,
And
in
yeah,
the heat of the moment, it's different.
You can stabilize people without the healer's kit, absolutely. It's just
Yeah.
that it makes a whole lot... One, it makes a lot more narrative sense to... if they're down and they've taken, like, a big injury and, like, they got, like, a big fucking slash across their chest, it's good to have a healer's kit to, like, sew that shit up.
Yeah.
And two, it gives you a +2 to your medicine checks when you're trying to stabilize people.
That's true.
If you have medicine and you can get a kit that, like, it hasn't already been taken up by something, or you have the money to spend on a healer's kit, get a healer's kit.
It's pretty good.
Great.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Plus, can't you... Is that the same thing as the healer's kit that lets you just restore 10 HP on a... medicine
That's if you take the
check?
feat,
That's okay.
I believe.
But it is the same thing.
I think so, yeah.
Same thing.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real good. It's real good.
Yeah, it's... so, yeah.
To throw into battle. That's a choice that they have to make of, this person could die. I can only heal them via this magical means, and then they might wake up, be back in the battle, but they might be permanently stuck with whatever their negative trait of that battle was. I mean, they can obviously fix it later. That can be an extra element of the story that they then have to break the arm and set it properly, you know? But in the meantime, for the sake of the combat, for the battle, this person that had a broken arm or a broken collarbone or whatever, suddenly now, because they have been healed and it's fused wrong, now they have to make their attacks with disadvantage. You know, that's the kind of thing that we're talking about here. So
you are imposing permanent disadvantages then?
Only
unless you break your arm again.
Right, only if you magically heal it in the heat of the moment. Only then.
So, okay.
Because
so
it's then stuck that way.
You have a system where you get your arm broken.
Yeah.
And you can't reset it in battle. And then you're gonna go down in 3 turns, and that will count as being dead. And, like, needing to roll death saves. If you choose to magically get them up, they have a permanently fucked up bone that they need to then re-break.
Yeah.
How about you just let them heal with magic?
Yeah. I mean, so that's the thing with the permanent injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, magic exists and it makes it harder for it to work. That's why usually you gate it behind either a homebrewed spell... right, that you have to learn, or you gate it behind a higher level magic.
Yeah, like regeneration, and a lot of money. It's like, hey, I fucking broke my arm, it's fucked up, can you fucking fix this for me?
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, that'll cost you like 300 gold pieces. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I can't fight with this.
There was, I was listening to, there's a D&D actual play that, some people that are in the Yogscast group, do, and it's called High Rollers, and they're on their second campaign, and I haven't watched it or listened to it for a long while here, but
they've been doing it for a long time.
They've been doing it for a little while. They started. I watched their entirety of their first campaign because I didn't want to watch the entirety of Critical Role's first campaign because I couldn't get into the story because it started like halfway in, right?
Yes.
It felt weird. Anyway, so in their second campaign, they have this permanent injury thing, right? Where you can get that after going down, and you could potentially have a permanent injury. And they had, I think one of the characters got a broken leg. Oh no, one of their companions got a broken leg. Okay. And in order for them to fix it, they had to travel with the companion all the way like across this continent to a town in order to find a priest who had heal injury, I believe was the spell. And they had to pay like 400 gold to do it, right? And like they also had the ability to learn that because it's a ritual spell, right? And the one of the characters had the ability to learn ritual spells in a book. And so they had the ability to get that, but they also needed to pay for the actual spell itself before.
Yeah, pay for the teaching.
Right, exactly. So like I'm pretty sure. And so it makes it so that it's this whole thing where you can figure out how to get that magical way to heal injuries. But it's still like a quest in itself of like, if you raise all this money, I'll teach you how to heal people.
Or go into debt to the church. It's like, hey, we don't have the money right now, but if you heal me, I can do my job better. And then,
or you could do that. Yeah, just...
Let me make a down payment. Give me an IOU. I'll work for you to pay off the rest of the debt.
And
We're
like,
I'm
down with you either trying to have it be just a natural kind of thing where you have it splinted, and even if you heal it with a cure wounds, it doesn't heal it completely. Like, it's still gonna have to be splinted for a while, and you need to wait for the bone itself to, like, it doesn't heal it all. Sure, I'm fine with that if you have the ability to have a magic that also heals the actual broken injury, like bone thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because then I go, okay, magic can heal it.
Yes, it's just higher level magic.
It's just a higher level. It's a specialized kind of magic, right?
That's fine.
Where a cure wounds is more general use. And it's a catch-all for a lot of things, but it won't heal everything specifically.
Yeah, like cuts, bruises, aches, pains, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the things like that. And so then I can wrap my mind around it.
Yeah,
but
because then you're starting to establish kind of a hierarchy of spells that already exists via the whole spell level system.
Yes, exactly.
You can just rule that spells of a level below blank can't really do that.
Exactly.
They're not powerful enough.
Yes. And so, like, because, again, I can argue this with the whole, you're channeling divinity of a god, right, when you're a cleric. At least this is how I view it, right? You're channeling a piece of their divinity, and first level spells are the barest that anyone can take.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a drop. It's like a drop of water out of the Pacific Ocean.
Exactly. Like,
whereas something like regenerate would be like splashing them with a bucket or something.
Yeah, you are getting to be more accustomed to that divinity, so you can take more of it and use more of it. Yeah. But like at first level, I don't think it's going to be able to legitimately, like, and this is a weird thing with the level system where when you get second level spells, you're at least like
third level.
Yeah, so you're an actual character at that point. But when you're at third level, you get the second level spells, and then you can cure diseases, right? Yeah. Like, you can cure ailments and just completely drive them out of a body, and that's just second level. And yes,
that's second level. That's big.
That is technically, I would say, more powerful than healing a broken limb.
Yeah,
I would say.
Well, I don't know if it's more powerful, but it is certainly more specialized and direct.
Yes. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it is more specialized, and so when you are able to look at a person and you can tell the signs of an infection or something, or you can't, and you just do it to them, and they just don't ever even know that they had a disease, or they knew, or something, right?
Yeah.
Like, then that's a specialized magic at level 2.
Yeah.
With a broken bone, I would say maybe it also falls under level 2, but it's definitely not going to be a level 1.
No.
Right?
No.
Like, absolutely have it be something that is kept until then. And then, even if you want to make it level 3, I'd say it's a stretch, but...
3 is heal, isn't it?
No, heal is like 7, right?
Let's see. Heal.
Let me look at spell.
Mass healing word. Oh, okay, yeah. Heal is level 6.
Level 6. Okay, yeah. So, if I actually, this is good.
It's all evocation, I think.
Some of it's necromancy, evocation, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Level 3. Okay, so level 3 healing spell. Okay. Beacon of Hope. Conjure animals.
Third level, you have revivify. Like, you can. You can potentially keep somebody from dying.
Yeah.
Like that, and
maybe. Okay, then how about this? How about, since you don't,
all that,
how about you cast Cure Wounds at 3rd level? What would you rule that?
Yeah. So then you get into that kind of thing, right? Where if you cure. So again, I would say
you know what you could do. You could have Cure Wounds and cast it at a 3rd level, but you could word it differently. I want to either heal more damage or heal one very specific thing.
So, even so, I would say, like, I would equate Cure Wounds to being like a antibiotic, right?
Okay.
Where it is generalized. It is so all across the board, but something that you can do to do something specific needs a specific kind of thing. Whereas if you get a really strong antibiotic, it'll cure a lot of things after some time, but if you want this specific thing that isn't necessarily going to be just killed by a catch-all, that you need that specific medicine. And so I would say that specific spell is needed for like something like a
disease.
A disease, exactly. Like, because if I cast Cure Wounds at level 2, it's not going to do the same thing as...
It's true.
Yeah,
as
Cure Disease.
Cure Disease.
Right. So, that's how I justify it, at least in my brain.
That makes sense to me.
Because, I mean, the only way that I can really equate it in that way is because it is equating magic to magic, because if you were to give somebody penicillin in fucking 1000 AD, they'd be like, what the hell? How did this cure me after I took 6 of them in a week? Like, I don't understand, right? Like, and then it's just magic. It's a magical, like, droplet or something that they take.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the closest I can do to make it make sense to me in my brain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we got about 40 seconds left.
Well, we'll see how many more times we pause.
Yeah, right?
So that is how I handle death and major injuries in the game.
We didn't talk a whole lot about
Dungeons and Dragons.
To be fair, there was only that little bit there in the beginning that she said wouldn't fit a whole video, so she put it in with the injuries. But still, I mean... Yeah, okay. Well, that's...
Good video!
Good video, yeah. Kingsmill Method, it's Monarch's Factory. Go check him out. Go check her out and look at her stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Do recommend, as I've said, that I've stolen from her. Yeah. But no, it's very, very cool. Yeah. So,
is that it, or we do have one more?
I
mean, I guess having a shorter podcast tonight makes up for the longer one last week.
It is true. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's good enough for now.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get another video inside of an hour.
Well, it could last longer, but
it's true.
It's definitely. I feel like we've gone over enough of death and how we feel about that for now.
Yeah.
If we need to return to it at some point, we can.
Yeah. Oh, do we want to talk about a homebrew monster?
Sure. Why not? Let's do that.
That might be fun to have like a little mini segment where it's we're done with the main topic. Now let's talk about a homebrew monster for the week.
Sure. Fuck it.
That might be kind of fun. Maybe for like a week or two, and then we fucking forget about it.
Right. Exactly.
So while you're looking for one, I'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll just take another intermission, I guess.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay. So welcome back. So I found via r/unearthed arcana, the place that I like to go for some homebrew stuff that people have made. It is something that interests me greatly. The Wendigo.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, chapter 13. Yeesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what they do with it because I know a little bit about Wendigo stuff.
Mm-hmm. I don't actually.
Wendigo, cool.
Don't know much about them. So I know that they. No, first.
Yeah,
let's do the authority here.
Well, they are a Native American legend for certain Native American tribes, I believe. And they originally were just a spirit, right? In the sense of a person gets possessed by the spirit and gets hungry for flesh, or it was really to be a thing against being greedy and like bad and all that kind of stuff. But then it became this spiritual thing of like there's a Wendigo spirit and it can take you over and make you crave human flesh, and then it became a physical thing where and now popular culture has taken the deer antler thing, which was not a part of it before.
Yeah, it's such a strange morph.
Right?
Have
very
antlers.
Interesting, I find.
Yeah, they're super cool.
They are really
and
cool.
I know that the Wendigos also exist in Call of Cthulhu, but they're a bit different.
Yeah. There's definitely different ones and different aspects, and I like them in most, if not all, respects. They're just a neat kind of creature.
Wait. Oh, never mind. Oh, I can't read, apparently. Oh.
I will say that this is kind of small, so I'm going to download it really quick. Yeah. It's downloaded. That was really quick.
That's good.
It's very small as a PDF. Good. Okay. There we go. Now I can actually zoom in and shit. Okay.
So this is meant to be a boss.
I would imagine so. Let me...
Oh, no, it's got legendary actions. It's a boss.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, the beast was gaunt to the point of emaciation. Its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones. With its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash gray of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets. The thing looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Its body was unclean and suffering from suppurations of the flesh, giving off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. Lord Garvin, Governor of Greengard. This is
Lord Garvin, Governor of Garvingard. I would have loved that.
This was, by the way, before I go any further, this was posted by a user that goes by the name of Void O Mine.
Okay, and illustrations by Lord Advisor Erevan.
Lord Advisor Erevan. Okay.
Or credit to Kyungwon Kim.
Okay.
I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Apologies.
Sounds very Korean.
Bushered. Anyway.
Yeah.
We talk. So this Ageless Beast is just more fluff.
Yeah.
Hunger, greed, and cannibalism and all that. So, this is the Wendigo Skinwalker. So, first off, those are two different things. actually.
Yeah. Okay. So what is a skinwalker?
So a skinwalker is a, as far as I'm aware, and please correct me if I'm wrong out there. It is a Native American, usually I think Navajo is where this came from.
Okay.
Navajo shaman who takes the skin of an animal and wears it, and over time is able to become that animal.
So kind of like a reverse werewolf almost.
In a way, yeah. And so they are usually they're more sent as like they themselves are either like not like demons, but like they're not good.
They're not good.
And they are sent against people in some rituals and stuff, and they go and they try to, kill that person, or like, it's to be fair, I don't know as much about skinwalkers particularly.
As Wendigos.
Yeah, and like Wendigos are not skinwalkers, and skinwalkers are not Wendigos. They are not comparable.
Now, is it Wendigo or Wendigo? I've heard both.
I don't know. I would say
because I've always say Wendigo.
Yeah. Anyway, it's large, chaotic evil, has a 17 armor class, 248 hit points, 25.
It's a chunky boy.
Yeah,
45 feet and then 45 feet burrowing.
Shit. Okay.
That's go fast. Fuck.
Yeah. 22 strength.
Very high stats. Other than its charisma, it's very high stats.
Yeah. I mean, it's saving throws. Your constitution is a plus 13 saving throw. Wait. Wait.
Huh? Wisdom is 10.
Well, so is that just base as well, or is that an additional plus 10 to your roll? Because I have to look at other monsters of CR. Was it
13?
13? Okay.
Yeah.
Monsters CR 13 5E. Because here we go. Okay. These are adult brass dragons, adult white dragons, Nalfish Nays, Rakshasa, excuse me.
Yeah, Rakshasa.
Storm giants and vampires. So let's
I think vampires would probably be the closest.
Yeah, I'm looking at vampire. It gets a plus 9 to dex, plus 7 to wisdom, plus 9 to charisma. If I look at a Rakshasa, it doesn't get anything. If I look at a dragon,
I'd be stunned if dragons don't get any bonuses to saving throws.
They get a plus 5 to dex, plus 10 to con, plus 6 to wisdom, plus 8. I think it's a little high. Just looking at all of the other ones,
the Wendigo?
Yeah, for the Wendigo. I think it's a little high, and it honestly, the hit points as well seem a bit high as I'm looking over these guys.
How much do say the dragons have?
The dragons have average 200 and average 172. That's adult
for
white,
an adult dragon.
An adult white and adult brass. And I'm getting this off of 5thsrd.org.
What the fuck? Yeah, this thing's 248. Yeah. I sure fucking hope this is meant to be fought alone.
I would imagine so. Yeah, it seemed. I would honestly say yes. And like, the armor is probably in a good place. Now it is weak
to fire.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So
fair.
There is that.
Yeah.
Condition immunities.
Yeah, I mean the other things also have some vulnerabilities, but
okay.
Some of them do. No, only one does. Well, that's fine. I'm okay with a vulnerability being to fire. There's not enough, I would say, that have vulnerability. Resistances and immunities. Immunities is fine with necrotic and poison, I would say.
Yeah. It seems odd to have a monstrosity be immune to necrotic, though. You would think that would be more undead.
Undead, yeah. Maybe.
Same with poison. I understand that if you're not immune to poison, you're not cool.
Yeah, and I would say it doesn't make sense considering it's both kind of like a spirit. I don't know. It's not really
because
tied to being a spirit, I guess.
Yeah. Immunity.
It has resistance to
cold and
it resists
stuff.
force damage.
Huh. Oh, shit. It's like the only thing that does.
That's a little strange. Okay.
That's weird.
I mean,
why?
I'm okay with cold. Cold makes sense to me.
Yeah, cold makes sense because Wendigos are from the fucking frigid north.
Usually are depicted as such. Bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing from non-magical, not made with silvered weapons. That's fine. The force is the only thing that I'm confused about because why would you do that?
Yeah, the only things that really make sense for force to not really affect them that much would be something elastic, in my mind.
Right, or the thing is, like, force damage is only done by, like, 1 or 2 spells.
Yeah, right? And like, nobody ever goes for them.
If you go magic... Well, I mean, magic missile is the optimal, like, choice here, in the sense of force damage, because it always hits, and it's always, a bit. But, like, magic missile isn't going to do that much damage.
Magic missile is not what you're pulling out at this moment.
Yeah, force damage spells 5e. Let me look to see if I okay. Nope. Control F force. There we go. Banishing Smite, Bigby's Hand, Disintegrate, Eldritch Blast, Magic Missile, Mordenkainen's Sword, Spiritual Weapon, and Teleportation. Those do force damage. Teleportation because if you get stuck in a wall.
Yeah, that would be funny to fucking teleport a guy into a wall.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I know that's for you, damn it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Disintegrate does force damage. I forgot about that.
That's what. Yeah.
So let me look at Disintegrate then, because if
it's really fucking powerful.
Yeah, if you're countering really just disintegration.
Yeah.
Disintegrate 5e. Thank you. Looking on Roll20 because my book is over there and I don't feel like getting up at the moment. It does 10d6 plus 40 force damage.
Yeah.
So okay.
It can do a fuck ton.
And if you get it at 7th level, it does an additional 3d6. And higher than that, another 3d6. And
so
another.
Up to 16d6. Up to 19d6 plus 40.
Yep. That's a lot.
It's very powerful. That's a lot.
Fair enough, I guess.
I mean, honestly, that's... I think it's in their flavor text, but beholders use disintegrating ray just to dig their lairs.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just super cool.
It is super cool. The only I'm just trying to come up with a reason for it, like for it to resist force, and I can't really.
There's not really a reason.
I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's just weird. That's all.
It's just random. It comes out of nowhere.
It feels kind of random. You're right.
What?
It has telepathy for 240 feet.
Wow. And also dark vision for 240 feet.
Wow.
It can see fucking far.
Wow.
Fucking eagle eyes.
That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot. I mean, fair enough if you want it to be that scary thing that comes from nowhere.
You want it to be Slenderman, basically.
Well, in a way, yeah. It's just weird. Anyway.
And then incorporeal movement, it can move through solid objects, and that counts as difficult terrain, unless the material is living, including plants.
Okay.
So, I guess it would work really well if you're wandering through, like, a tyrannid hive.
So, usually they're encountered, quote-unquote, in forests, right?
Yeah.
So, I
guess? But, I mean, like... How often are you going to walk through a forest and there's literally a 100% stable wall of trees?
I mean,
that doesn't really happen.
Well, no, I get it because if it's chasing somebody and it just goes through the terrain instead of going around it, it will be faster in a way.
I guess so.
But the thing is, it can already burrow.
Well, the thing is, not really, because if you think of it as a grid,
yeah.
You know, you have, we'll do like a a 3x3.
Yeah,
you already know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So it wouldn't even, it would just be for spookiness, I guess, but then that would still count as difficult terrain, so it would slow it down.
It halves its movement. So I'm okay with it having the ability to get to you faster. I don't know about being incorporeal. Right?
Yeah, the thing that I would have done is give it like a spell-like ability that's on a cooldown where it's like it can do the fucking druid tree teleportation thing.
Yes.
That's what it should have.
That would be cool. Absolutely. Yeah. It goes through trees.
Yes.
Absolutely. That would be sick because it knows it's forest.
Yes, exactly.
And then it knows every tree, and so it would know how to cut people off. And then it becomes even more... Yeah, that would be...
That would be real good.
That would be super good. I would definitely enjoy that. I would honestly also take down that dark vision, my dude. Like,
yeah.
And the telepathy. I don't know why... Like, I get it. I
can understand the telepathy.
I get the idea of it being able to see you way before you can see it, right?
Yeah.
That's fair enough, but at the same time, if you're, I don't know about 240 feet. I think 120 is enough. And if somebody else, if you have a character go into this forest, doesn't know shit about Wendigos, I'm just gonna generalize with that. It's like it's a campaign where they don't know what the fuck a Wendigo is because it doesn't exist, quote unquote, in their world yet. They look 120 feet away, they see a fucking Wendigo, they're not gonna know what the fuck that is, and then they look again after they blink, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's... It's seen you, it knows you're there, and hell, with a telepathy, it can probably hear you.
It can hear you, and it's fucking whispering sweet nothings in your ear.
Exactly. Like, I feel like that's creepy enough, and you don't need it to see a fucking mile in the dark.
So now, the thing that would be really good in combination, cut that dark vision way the fuck down.
Yeah.
Three things. Cut down the dark vision. Hell, I would even say boost up the telepathy to like 300.
Okay.
That way it can like fucking stalk you from a little bit away, and like maybe it's like limited telepathy, not perfect telepathy.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like images and like thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So cut down the dark vision, boost up the telepathy, limited telepathy.
Sure.
Change the incorporeal movement to the druid tree stride. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, I think so.
And then up at the top right, I've been reading through the other ones. Walker's Sight. If the skinwalker sees a creature of large or smaller size within its woods, it may use this ability to observe the creature as long as it's within 50 miles of the creature.
Oh.
The creature feels the skinwalker watching it and feels an intense hatred and hunger. I like that.
That's fine.
Fucking 50 miles.
But like, it's not.
It can only do it for 6 hours once a day, though, so it's okay.
I mean, that's plenty of time. First off, second off, like,
yeah, right.
Like, looking at that, you don't need the...
You don't need that, Jesus.
240, oh my god.
Yeah.
Shapeshifter can take the shape of a decrepit and malformed human. Yes, fair enough, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, sorry, I just remembered. Up at the top, large monstrosity, Choatic Evil.
Oh, no.
Choatic.
Well... That's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's the first one.
Yeah, no, it's
cool. Good catch.
So it has the physical stats of a human and keeps its mental stats.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. That's a common thing for... Well,
for shapeshifting.
That's more of a skinwalker thing.
Yeah.
Not a...
Wendigos can't do that shit.
Wendigo thing. I don't think... Man, testing my shit. So
we need Aiden.
Right?
He also knows Wendigos.
He does, yeah. He also really likes Wendigos. So, like, Wendigos. So they do get, and it's unfortunate because they do get confused with skinwalkers / fleshgates, where fleshgates are the European version of the skinwalker, basically.
Okay.
And so, like, with a Wendigo, it's usually you see the thing, and it doesn't change shape. It's just this creepy thing that might have a skull on its head or something, because all those other things are usually skinwalker sightings. And again, the popular consciousness has combined the two for some reason, which come on,
which is wrong. But...
it's wrong. I hate it.
It's just wrong.
It's just wrong. Because shapeshifter, like legitimately, skinwalkers don't care about eating you. That's not their thing. They're just gonna kill you.
They're just creepy and they're just dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, throw sound can mimic any sound that a PC is familiar with, whether that be a sound of a loved one screaming in pain or the voice of their guide. The sound can be projected into a 40-foot cone that sounds like it's coming from all sides. Alternatively, the Wendigo can choose a specific direction for the sound to originate from. Now that's cool. Sound to originate from.
Sound.
So, okay. If memory serves, again, you're confusing skinwalkers and Wendigos again, because skinwalkers can do that. I know that for a fact. Yeah, so usually it's they hear a phrase of someone else in like the campsite or whatever, wherever this is taking place. They hear somebody say something and they can repeat it, right? In almost human speech. It is slightly different in such a way that it feels wrong. Right, that's how you know that it's not really the person doing it. Sometimes you don't notice that until you're a little closer. Yeah. But that is usually a skinwalker thing where they will mimic to draw in prey. Whereas Wendigos, as far as I remember, they don't.
I don't think they do that.
I don't think so. Let me look at Wendigos real quick.
I don't think so anyway.
Wendigo mimicry. Sure. Super Wiki. Okay.
Oh.
That's a Supernatural Wiki. Oh, this is from Supernatural. That imitates its voice. That's not what I want.
Yeah,
okay.
That's not. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's Until Dawn. Because there are Wendigos in Until Dawn.
Yeah.
I might be misremembering. Maybe they can also mimic. That might be something. I don't know though. No, okay. Apparently they can, according to this site. What is this site? Wattpad? Oh, it's a random blog post. Okay. I'd have to do even more digging. But as far as I remember, Wendigos might not be able to, but I might be wrong about that. So yeah.
You also missed that. So you saw Sound.
I did.
Yeah, alternatively, the Wendigo can choose a specific direction. Oh,
God. Alternatively. My brain literally just went nuts-y.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Anyway,
Walker site. We already did that one.
And like the thing about throwing the sound, like I'm fine with it being you can choose where it goes to or from, because that just adds to the creepy factor one too. Yeah. Like it makes people turn around and look towards that direction, and then you can walk behind them. And there's no like specifics of like it can do that or it can't do that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Aura of Decay.
Region of the world is rife with decay and 1 mile radius around the layer, not layer. All vegetation is in a perpetual state of rot. If the players spend more than 5 hours in this radius, they make a con save, DC 17, or be poisoned for 3d4 days. Woo!
Whoa. Okay.
While poisoned, the players have disadvantage on all saving throws and take 2d8 poison damage every 6 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Yee. That's rough.
I guess. I mean, I'm not.
I see. Now here's the thing. I'm seeing all this, and I'm hoping this is the kind of like you would throw this in a Witcher style campaign, where
something like that.
You learn about it, and it's like, oh, if you go in the jungle or the forest, all this shit. So you need to fucking find this and this and this and this and this and this, and then you'll be prepped and ready to fight it.
Yeah, and like, sure, Aura of Decay is fine. It just gives it that thing, because like usually with the stories that you're told of like layers and stuff, yeah, it smells awful. It smells like death. The thing
because
itself,
cannibalism.
Yeah, the thing itself smells like death. Like it's definitely disgusting.
Yeah, but I
doesn't
don't know
really
about
poison people, but
Yeah. I would say this is more just like a lair thing where it's
that's a
just
lair
kind of
thing.
for flavor.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Fog.
Then fog.
Wendigo resides in a forest wherein it has taken residence. A layer of fog covers the entire area. The closer the players get to the layer, the thicker the fog gets. Heavily obscured, the skinwalker can see up to 240 feet into the fog without needing to make a check. Sure, fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
With me. Yeah.
Again,
if we're gonna drop the dark vision a bit, I would drop that too.
No, I would even say that's fine as is with the fog.
Really?
Like have it be more specialized that it can see through the fog.
Okay, yeah, that's
maybe.
That's fair, I suppose.
I don't know. Anyway,
right.
Yeah, plus 10 to hit, reach 5 feet, one target hit,
large?
24 damage.
3d8 plus 6 piercing.
That's fine.
Bitten twice. Tay must make a Constitution save 15. And they take poison damage. Woo! If they're affected by aura decay, that poison damage is doubled.
So it becomes 4d6. Okay.
Yeah.
Thinking about average characters at level 13.
That's
fine.
That might actually be dealable with.
This is fine. It's just this whole creating a poisonous decay thing is weird to me.
Yeah,
just because of lore,
strange.
I guess. But that's my thing.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it as well at the same time though, because like, yeah, it's just a little thing to make it more dangerous, because otherwise, like, it's a Wendigo. It doesn't really have a special thing other than it appears behind you.
And it's fucking scary looking.
Yeah, and it's fucking scary, and it wants to eat you.
Yeah. Claws and gore are nearly the same. It's just one does 2d6 and has 16 to hit.
Yep.
And the other one does 1d10 and has 12 to hit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Sure.
Why would you ever use anything other than the claws? What's the point?
I don't know. Why? So actually, strange thing. Doesn't have multi-attack.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Doesn't have multi-attack on here, and I assume it would have a multi-attack, because otherwise this thing does no damage every round. Like,
a legendary action it has is Sweeping Claw.
Okay,
but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay.
Rush attack. Use its full movement and runs in a straight line. Every creature in its path must make a dex saving throw of 15. On a failure, creature takes 4d12 plus 6 bludgeoning damage, pushed back 10 feet, and knocked prone.
Sure.
On the success, the creature takes half damage, is not pushed back, and does not become prone.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's fine.
4d12, the average of that is...
That's 24, right?
Yeah, I think so. Plus 6.
And then, so 28.
No, plus 6, so it's 30.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, so 30 damage is your... Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And on a success, you take half damage.
Yeah, that's fine to me, honestly.
That sounds fine.
CR.
Again, starting to... I kind of forgot for a time that it was CR 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frightful presence. Each creature of the Wendigo's choice within 90 feet of it are aware of it.
Within.
Oh yeah.
Within.
90 feet of it are aware of it and must succeed on a DC 18 Wisdom saving throw or become frightened for 1 minute. Oh god, no. Anyway, the creature may make a saving throw at the end of each of its turns. On a success, the effect ends. The creature is immune to the effect for 24 hours, succeeds the saving throw. Yeah.
Although, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did the whole scarecrow thing where you're not immune to it and you can just do it over and over again.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of thing where I would say it's kind of meant to be fucking creepy enough to
I was gonna
where
say it's definitely not gonna make you immune. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I would honestly. I think I would beef that up a little bit.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you, because if it's not as powerful as a scarecrow's fear.
Yeah, and these things are meant to be like real fucking creepy and scary and shit. So I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. Teleport costs 2 actions. Oh, so it does have multiple actions? Oh no, it costs 2 legendary actions. Sorry, everything is 3. My brain.
Yeah.
The Wendigo teleports to an unoccupied space of its choosing within 90 feet. If a creature is within range, the Wendigo makes a claw attack. Sure. Yeah.
That's fine.
It's literally everyone blinked and now it's next to Jerry. Uh-oh.
And it fucking slapped him, yeah.
Yep.
Uproot Earth, the Wendigo digs into... The Wendigo digs its claws into the ground with all its strength, making the ground 10-foot radius centered on the Wendigo difficult terrain. Any creature inside the difficult terrain will succeed on a dex saving throw or be knocked prone.
Sure.
So what's is the DC?
Ooh, yeah, need that DC in there. Ooh.
Yeah. And then Sweeping Claw. The Wendigo makes 1 claw attack against up to 3 creatures that are within 5 feet of each other. Attack roll is required for each creature. So there's its kind of thing
this is the thing though, right? Like with legendary actions, you can do them anytime between its turn and its next turn.
Yes.
At the end of a character's turn.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that the Wendigo makes 1 claw attack up to 3. Okay, so within 5 feet of each other. So that requires a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, that requires of them being all together.
Which I can imagine it because, like, oh god, what the fuck is that? Stick together, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is that you could, if you're trying to do this kind of as an ambush type thing, you could do throw sound. And make it so that, like, the whole party is like, oh, what's that over there? We need to go and check, you know?
Yep.
And so you have the whole party go over there because they don't want to split up.
Yep.
Then you do the druid tree stride to get into range.
Yep.
Or you get close enough, and then you do teleport, which would cause 2 of your actions. And then you could do the Sweeping Claw if they're all close enough. Although I don't know if that's how you can use legendary actions.
No, you can only use 1 technically action per like end of turn. So you have to wait until the next person goes and does their whole turn, and then you get into it.
Gotcha.
Right?
So then the way you could do it is do throw sound, put it behind a tree, have everybody run over to the tree to investigate, then do tree stride, then do Sweeping Claw.
Yeah. And again, I honestly really would say adding multi-attack as something that it can do with either a bite and 2 claws or a gore, or like just have it be a combination of 3 of the 3 of them.
Up to 3. Yeah, 3 of any. Yeah,
of those first 3, and then the rush attack is the one that it can choose to do just as a thing. With Frightful Presence just being, I don't think it belongs in the actions thing.
I guess it's because each creature of the Wendigo's choice, so it has to choose what it frightens. I guess.
You would think that. Let me look into Scarecrows real quick, because I don't remember if that's an action. Fucking wish that Aiden was here.
Yeah, right. He would be the one to know. Fucking Scarecrow guy.
Scarecrow. Here we go, I think. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, it does the terrifying glare as an attack, though.
Oh.
Okay. Well, in a sense of it is an action. Yeah, okay. Never mind then.
Okay.
I guess that's fair. Although, anyway.
Yeah. Look at mummies, because they have something. They have this too.
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
See if it's an action or if it's just everybody within a radius.
Yeah, because like something like dragons have frightful presence or whatever it is. And that is like if you get within a certain distance of it, then you get you have to test to be frightened, or you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Dreadful glare. Targets 1 creature it can see within 60 feet of it. It's an action.
And that's mummies. Okay.
Yeah, that's mummies.
Okay.
Let me look at.
I've never really thought mummies needed that.
Oh, what do you mean?
I don't know. Just the fear kind of thing. That mummies have never really struck me as something that could like frighten. I don't know. It's just I just don't find mummies scary, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's more just the fact that we're used to it at this point, right? Like in the sense of we've seen how mummies are, and they're really not that creepy to us, but to somebody who's never seen a mummy before, I think
it's true.
I mean, to be fair, I've never seen a real mummy get up and walk around, and that would fucking terrify me. So
it's true.
But yeah, and I think it's also I think in the original Mummy, that was a thing it could do. Maybe like look at somebody, and if they made eye contact, it would freeze them or something.
I think
it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, that's everything that the Wendigo can do. It's got some good art, though.
Yeah, it has great art.
Let's see. Concerning illustrations by Lord Advisor have been added at the risk of the reader. We are not responsible for any sightings. Nice.
I really like the one where it's behind the person.
The person, yeah.
Man, girl, something? I don't know.
Them.
That's the depiction of the Wendigo that I'm most familiar with. The kind of like skeletal dog with antler face thing.
Yeah, it's either that or the deer skull with antlers on a big slender body, you know.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, but definitely seems fine for damage. It's just the upping of having the multi-attack be there, I feel like is necessary.
Multi-attack, cut the dark vision, tree stride, and then it doesn't really need shapeshifter.
No, that's I don't think it's going to, like, if you have it shapeshift and go towards people and is just a malformed person that, like, it still doesn't talk, right? It has the telepathy and stuff, and it's gonna act real weird. Like,
yeah, it's gonna be super obvious.
Yeah, like shapeshifter would work for a skinwalker to make it look like the animal that it becomes, like the wolf usually is the depiction, right? And like, also, secondly, please fix your capitalizations. I see now in throw sound Wendigo is not capitalized, and like some of your errors in spelling and grammar, but also when you have in Walker's site, put Wendigo, right?
Yeah. Where
like, because it says if the skinwalker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like,
it's not the skinwalker, it's the Wendigo.
One, it's not, but also you're using them. That's the only time where you've changed it, and that's distracting.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, let me look.
Yeah. Wendigo.
Yeah, everything else is
Wendigo.
Legendary.
Yeah,
actions,
that's the only one. Wendigo.
So like.
Yeah, literally, that's the only one.
Yeah, and so, as soon as I noticed it, I was like,
yeah, why that?
But yeah, change that, I would say.
But I mean, other than that, like, the monster itself, really cool. Really cool.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good.
It just needs some minor tweaks.
Yes, absolutely. Very minor. Very minor. Yeah. Very good importing of a mythological being.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So
I think that's it.
Yeah, that'll do it for us today. Thank you all for listening and watching.
You can find the fucking podcast for the next hour.
Yep. It's gonna take me a good 5 minutes here. So yeah. Don't forget you can find everything that we do on our website, tabletalkd&d.us.
You know what we need?
Description.
You know what you need to do? You need to have like a fucking text document where you just list all the links for everything and then just copy paste that shit into the description, and then you can just say, if you want to find our podcast anywhere else, check the description.
Oh, believe me, it's all in the description. Literally everything I'm telling you, it's always been in the description. I just want to make sure that people know that, because yeah, you need to tell them, because otherwise their brains, they can't it's definitely a fact that people don't look into descriptions a lot of the time.
I do, but you know, I come from the old guard of YouTube. Back when descriptions meant something.
When they meant something. So yeah, website in the description, as well as links to the podcast on most major sites that I have access to their links. You can find it on Fridays, first on YouTube at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and again on Mondays on those podcasting services of choice, usually around 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. And oh yeah, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, TableTalk at TableTalk D&D. Also on your screen, as well as in the description. Have seen a lot more accounts follow the Instagram ones. Seem to be a lot of podcasts and other things like that, so that's neat. I'll post a thing and say, hey, thanks. And you can join our Discord. Please do. It's very cool when you do, and we can talk to you. I know that we haven't been really saying too much as of recently, just because things have been taking our time. But yes, Discord is there. We sometimes put polls up so that we know what you guys are interested in seeing, as well as other links to other things. You can find us on Redbubble for some little knickknacks and stuff, little merch stuff that you can buy to help support us. Could get a mug or maybe a shower curtain. I don't know.
Get dice.
We do need to get dice. We need to get those in dice bags. I'm having such a hard time finding dice bag providers.
I bet.
Oh my god.
It's kind of a niche thing.
It is not a thing. Yeah. Anyway, if you know, hey, hit me up. Anyway, as well as if you want to support us on Patreon, you can, patreon.com/TableTalkDND. Also on your screen and in the description. I know it's a
yeah, I know.
You know. Anyway.
Yeah, I do.
So that, and you can send us an email at tabletalkdnd .gmail, or wow, brain. Hello. tabletalkdnd@gmail.com. And other than that, tune into Devils and Dice. Usually posts on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
And
we're starting up a new arc.
We are. And
we're back in town. The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. It is true.
And copyright.
Then that, I think that's everything. I don't know, man. There's so many links. Go in the description. Check the links.
Right. Just look at the description.
You can find the links to the videos that we watched as well, and all that shit. It's all there. Please look in the description. Click on a couple of them. Maybe even several of them. Perhaps even all of them.
I wouldn't say all.
Oh, okay. You can leave a couple if you don't. Anyway, thank you again for everybody who's been listening, supporting, and liking, and commenting, and subscribing, and all of that. We will see you next week. And,
We'll be talking about 4th edition.
No, we're not going to be talking about 4th edition.
That's the new Raid Shadow Engines.
No. God.
It's significantly less offensive.
It is true. Anyway, thank you all, and we'll see you next time.